Good evening, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the Elendor Chronicles, brought to you by the Component Cast. Before we get on with tonight's broadcast, we do need to cover a few things, and actually, we've actually got something new to talk about this week. We're now available, or at least one of our shows currently is available now on Spotify. So you can get the entirety at the moment of Trakoga Nights, and Elendor Season 1 has also begun its big session of upload. Eventually, we will have the entire Component Cast backlog available on, I think it's more than just Spotify, but it's multiple podcasting service. You can get it in podcast format or in the video podcast format as well. So we are hosted both as a video and as an audio broadcast. So take the Component Cast wherever you go. And hey, if it would actually really help if you head over to Spotify and rate the Component Cast and give us a little bit of a review and boost us up in those charts there. And it's completely free to do so. So hey, if you like these shows, why not go give us a rating? Other than that, the other things I need to cover for tonight's broadcast are our wonderful people over at Syrinscape, who continue to help me put this show together. Syrinscape's online player is fantastic in the fact that it is, as a service, allows me to send audio and sound effects and just ambiance to all of my players all over the globe. This game covers 6 time zones right now. Essentially, almost. No, is it 6 or 5? Multiple time zones across the globe, and we can hear everything in pretty much real time as and when I click buttons, which is, fantastic. So thanks to Syrinscape. Syrinscape have a free app on the iOS store or a free sound set that you can download from their website to get yourself started with 20 free sounds. Go to syrinscape.com for more information, or in our links and panels below. Other than that, without further ado, another thing is that Ghibli will not be joining us for the foreseeable end of Season 2 here, which we will be bringing Season 2 to a close very, very shortly. But she is currently competing as a competitive EU4 player, and we wish her all the best and hope that she beats all the other people. Bring it home for the Component Cast. That'd be great. But without further ado, let's get on with tonight's broadcast. Who would like to give us a recap this week?
I did it last week. I'll let somebody else take the charge.
There's a battle. We kept fighting to claim the spell driver glass thing. Valmer discovered that he's into being hit rapidly by Eladrin.
Which means discovered.
Fair
I
point.
believe the word you're looking for there is demonstrated.
Demonstrated. Demonstrated that he likes being hit. Mostly it was a lot of fighting, but in the end we were able to claim it. However, at the end of it, Gourd got captured and put to sleep. Tried to escape. That didn't work out. Yeah, it was a really, really abbreviated session because it was mostly fighting.
Yep, that pretty much about covers it. So yes, last time.
We're undermining something of significance. I managed to steal one of their scouting lenses.
That's true. You did.
Their giant two-person scouting lens.
Yeah, you did
Well,
pick up a giant
if we're doing
spotter scope.
personal achievements, I got the big lens.
Yes, you did manage to escape with one of the lenses and with a spotting scope. However, we closed out with Gourd being captured by the Elandrin, and you having a quick conversation with Grim about what happened. We left off with the party in the castle, and Zedaar apologizing. So, adventurers, what would you like to do?
Sleep. Heal. We're in a pretty rough spot, rough shape. It doesn't look like the Eladrin are going to be able to use that cannon to get through these walls, so it seems like, for the moment at least, we're safe here.
Breton, I think you said you were going to start aiding in the watches, right?
Yes, he was not in need of a rest per se, so he was going to basically double check to make sure the position was secure and just provide in the any potential counterattacks that may have done against the castle now that we've done this to them.
Okay.
Soul's exhausted.
Yep. Fair.
So is Valmaya. Although I suppose he had a short rest, so I guess he's actually back up to full strength. But he's exhausted.
Short rest warriors, man.
Good warlocks. No, if we need to short rest Soul, we'll have short rested. She'll regain some sorcery points.
Okay. So, those of you who need to, settle down to rest.
How long are we going to stay here?
I think the bigger problem is how are we going to get out of here?
Back
I
through
think the other
sewers,
question we're
imagine.
asking us, I think the other question we need to ask ourselves is, what are we going to do about Gourd?
Yeah.
We don't know where he got. We don't know. Assuming the worst, he's dead. Assuming the best, he's captured. In either situation, we don't know where he is.
We'll go out tomorrow and look for him.
They would be expecting that.
Can't exactly just leave him out there. I'm not comfortable with that.
We're not leaving him. But we have to prioritize what's most important. And what would Gourd want?
It's a pleasure to see you again, Ruby.
She'll blush a little bit.
Gourd is the self-sacrificey kind of guy, and I don't know if he has his own best interests at heart. So we kind of need to have his best interests in our hearts.
Self-sacrificing war crimes committing.
I mean, sure, yeah. But I mean,
If
Kind of.
we don't get this device safely off this island, his sacrifice will have been for nothing.
If in Zep's research he realizes there's more that he needs to understand about this device, then us leaving the island may be presumptuous and premature. I think at the moment we need to let Zep do his thing, look at this device, and see if we can work out a proper blueprint of it. And if he finds us more that he needs, then we may very well have more work to do, which may give us an answer of whether or not we're going to be doing anything with Gourd regardless.
There's also the fact that at least the Eladrin that was after me knew I had the lens. And Zedaar said she killed that Eladrin. However, we don't know if she communicated that to the others. And it could very well be that they would offer some kind of trade. The lens for Gourd. I suppose we have to decide what Gourd is worth to us, and are we willing to accept that kind of deal if it is offered?
I would not trust the Eladrin to make a decision such as that.
How would I?
Of course it would come with a trap and a backstab, but
Exactly. We already know that they have the means to replace these parts. Why would they trade a prisoner of war for one that is just a... It is just a piece of a contraption of which they have multitudes. If it was not entirely to specifically lead us into some form of trap. That is not to say it is not information that cannot be used, but it is something that we should take with the grain of salt that it should be intended.
they seem pretty attached to it. I suppose at the very least, if that kind of offer is incoming, it will alert us to Gourd's fate and give us at least an opportunity to backstab them before they backstab us, and we can get away with both. It's something to think about at the very least.
Would be useful to get the information. With that in mind, there's not much else we'll be able to do before the end of the day. I know not how long it'll take Zep to properly look into this machine and gain a deeper understanding of it, but that seems to be the thing that we are waiting on next.
Time for some sleep and rest and see what news is in the morning. Maybe Gourd was not captured at all and he just took the scenic route home.
I would be curious to see how quickly they replace their efforts to get another device out here. It could tell us just how important this castle is. If they're sieging us again by the end of the night, then, well, it shows just how dedicated they are, as a matter of fact.
Okay. So, what would you guys like to do?
I was gonna go long rest.
Okay. Where are you resting? You looking for
Anywhere there's a spare cot or rack that she can get without getting yelled at.
Yeah, it's fine. There's some quartering in one of the large communal tents that's now in what was the grounds of this complex. It's been set up. It's probably got about 7 or 8 others, but about 30 cots in there.
Work.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Once Spartan is sure that the attack isn't going to happen during the day, he'll probably also make his way to the barracks to try and get some rest, knowing that tomorrow's going to come with its own challenges.
Sure. Okay.
Sleep it is.
Does this place have an armory, by the way?
It does.
Anything for sale or spare?
Not really. Not that kind of armory. It's more being used to outfit any of the civilians that come in and out. It's got some very, very basic things. It's not well like
Sure.
This place is well provisioned, but only enough. So you could pick up like gambesons, like spears.
How about a chain shirt and a shield?
No, give me an investigation check.
Sure.
There's a chain shirt in the party sheet.
It's on the ship.
It's on the ship.
Good point.
That's a 7.
We've got a shield. It's like a wooden buckler. A little
Does it
round
qualify
shield.
as a shield?
Yeah, it
Does it
qualifies
qualify as a
as
shield
a
mechanic?
standard shield, yes.
Sure. Why not? How much?
Oh, if you're defending the that's it's just you take it.
She will.
Okay. You now have a standard shield. This is kind of one of those you look in there, you know, it's literally just racks of spears, shields, an assortment of helmets. If it fits you, you get to wear it kind of deal. And it's mainly for if the civilian population here, if it's a last-ditch assault that's coming, every man, woman, and child will be given something to defend themselves kind of armory. Not here is a prized blacksmith, and his armory.
Yeah.
It's a Siege of Helm's Deep kind of armory. They're dusting off a lot of cobwebs. But those of you who choose to sleep may sleep. The night goes without an attack. But earlier in the morning, there is a brief moment where a hail of arrows peppers the wall. For about 30 minutes, just a whole load of there's no real casualties either. It's just it seems to be
Reminding you that they're still there.
Yes, it's a provocative attack more than anything. And those of you who awake for this, you see that the quartermaster, as soon as the hail of arrows stops, he sort of wheels out these these almost like what you'd put a battering ram in, but shorter. It's like essentially little roofs on wheels as they go, and then sends him and a handful of guards who are now just picking up any arrows, checking if they're usable to fire back, essentially. And they've got the pop-up roof just to make sure they don't get picked off while they do this, but they're essentially collecting the ammunition for rebundling and reuse. Fun.
How nice of them.
The morning comes. And yes. Unless anything is specifically done by the rest of you, anything you want to cover. At about 10 a.m., Grim sends for you.
We noticed that Zedaar is missing yet?
Has anybody looked? I mean, it's obvious that you guys can't find her if you're looking for her in the morning.
Well, I mean, when the group is gathered, I guess.
Zedaar isn't there.
Did anybody else see her? Or does anybody else see her?
And how she took a bit of a beating as well. Maybe she's having a sleep in. I don't know. I've not seen her.
Go to her room.
And
Presumably
stay
no
upstairs
finding
either.
garage.
Okay. So those of you who are gathered, are you gonna go see Grim? Or do you
Check
have
and see
a...
where Zedaar is first.
Okay.
But if she's not around, then we'll assume she's napping somewhere.
You give me an investigation check.
Do I have proficiency in that? I think I have proficiency in that. I do not. I cannot give you advantage. I apologize.
Uh, 11.
11. You don't find her anywhere. She's not in any of the empty cots or anything, but you've known Zedaar to curl up in less comfortable places. It could be a matter that she's just found somewhere that you haven't found.
Okay. Then we'll go to the meeting.
Okay.
Assuming she's napping somewhere.
So you eventually head into the keep, the old keep that has become what always was the guard headquarters, but become the military headquarters for this resistance. With Grim standing over a table, he seems to. It's kind of a map of the city that he's got, but he's got like certain buildings and etc. have got flags and or are movable with little forces. It's, you know, it's a battle planning map.
Morning.
Good morning. I thought it necessary to update you since the now that you've slept and rested from yesterday's engagement. In a retort from what it was you guys did, it seems the Eladrin, and he points to an area of the map, flushed out a small garrison of our forces on their side of the river. Casualty numbers are still coming in, but I think we lost about 30 people, but 40 made it out, so take that as a win. We were using that outpost to keep supplying civilians trapped in the Elandrian parts of the city. They kind of kept it around because it meant it was less mouths that they had to feed. But it seems they didn't take kindly to you messing up their plans.
I'm trying to act heartbroken, but I just don't think I can have it in me right now.
It still remains to be seen just how much of damage was done to their plans.
Quite.
One of our number was captured.
Yes.
Another is hopefully just napping, but presumably she might be missing as well.
Yes.
When the Eladrin take prisoners, do you know where they go?
They haven't taken prisoners before. But
Just as brittle as ever.
we did get word that your man was seen being bundled out.
Bundled out?
Yes, they saw them unconscious, tied up, being dragged away by a platoon of soldiers. One of our
Where?
informants got eyes on it near the docks. To the north.
Taking him off the island.
Well, it's the Eladrin stronghold is with the docked fleet, so it would make sense that they've taken him there. The other piece of information that came across my desk this morning is that I don't think your other friend is sleeping. A tabaxi individual was seen in the north of the city.
I mean, if you saw her,
ambush.
I don't think it was her.
Ambushing a patrol of Eladrin.
No, that might be her.
It certainly seems reckless enough.
Did she go after Gourd?
I suppose it's a possibility.
Now, I know your numbers are down, so I'm providing you with someone I can trust to get things done that's been living out on the Eladrin side of the city, going between a lot of our various outposts, keeping sure the flow of information comes in. And he turns to the door. And Shane, would you mind describing your character as it enters?
Before you will see enter a fairly well-dressed, albeit dirty, beaten up clothing, worn from travel, salt-stained and sweat-stained in some places. His salt and pepper hair is kind of tied back with a ribbon in a low ponytail that goes just about shoulder height. And then he greets you with a sort of toothless smile. Fairly thin face, goatee, and curiously enough, red eyes. And he approaches slowly, quietly into the room.
This is Willoughby.
It's a pleasure to meet you all. And he'll give a slight bow.
Willoughby's the one that brought a lot of this information across my desk. I feel like they might be useful in whatever task it is you wish to undertake while you're here in the city. I know we lost a little bit ourselves following last night's attack, but I still think the damage you did has done this resistance of ours a lot of good. Taking that cannon out and capturing as much as you had will definitely go a lot of the way in the war effort. And like I said, I don't care what you do with it. I just wanted it gone. Now, if there's anything else I can do to help, let me know.
Need to get. We need to get to our ship.
Well, now that the cannon is down, it should be able to land or get close to the South Island. I don't know if it will be good enough. We might still be too close to the fleet to have it land here. But you're welcome to try. Enough space here.
I think South Island is probably our best bet.
Means we
But
gotta
she
get
will
back
look to
up.
Brett for confirmation.
It's either that or we all jump in our rowboat and row ourselves out a mile outside of town and just hope that we get picked up before the Eladrin ship sees us. And that's a risky endeavor, especially with a 10-foot monocle on our back.
Very, very risky. I don't think that's. No, I think that's pretty not a good idea.
He chuckles a little at 10-foot monocle.
Thank you for your assistance. Wrong accent again. I keep slipping into Vonica. Look. Thank you for your assistance. Yeah, appreciate it greatly. We need to get off the island and get this back to where it can do the most good.
Makes a lot of sense. I'll try to keep tabs on what I hear about your companions if you do leave. But, hopefully you find them soon, because Willoughby here is quite useful to me, and I would quite like them back.
Hoping to hear from Master Skyspan before we made a decision of what we were going to do next, but I suppose this endeavor with the mirror has him extra indisposed.
Yes, he's made a workshop out of one of our ammo stores, and he hasn't opened the door since.
I think I've seen this fellow. He's quite a curious individual. Very, very focused. I admire it.
Gourd.
One could say driven.
Driven by what, though?
It's better for him to answer that one, sir. Willoughby, is it?
Yes, you can call me Willoughby or you can call me James. It's, either one works.
Willoughby.
Very well.
So what is it that you do? What is your role here then?
Well, I sort of specialize in, I guess you could say, medicine. Sort of a way. That's been my main aid here, I think, in the camps. What would you say?
Well, you've been...
I mean, I feel like that's
Healer?
where I've been the most effective. No, not healing, traditional medicine. I don't have any touch with the divine or nature in that manner.
Willoughby's of the scientific sorts, but is also handy when moving for a crowd. We try to keep their affiliation less with the Resistance, more with people. But
People are the resistance.
exactly.
Don's red beret.
Vox Populi.
Wolverines!
Cliche.
So I guess we got to kind of decide, are we going looking for Gourd, or are we going to get to the south side of the island to get this, what would you say, 10-foot monocle? Get this thing out of here. Like, I don't really want to leave the island until we have Gourd back. And Zeraj. Because I assume we're probably going to find them in the same place. And at the same time, we can't really have this lens be so close to the people who really want it.
Wherever they are at the moment, they are undoubtedly in one of the most secure areas on the entire island. One does not simply keep prisoners in an area that is undefended and unguarded.
Gourd knew what he signed up for.
I don't want to leave, but this is too important. But it's not to say we won't be able to come back for him.
Zep, all this time you have been in an well, it was an ammo store, but you've taken it over as a impromptu workshop. Braun has been recharging and repairing in the corner, whilst you have been looking at this captured as we're calling it, giant monocle, as well as the assorted pieces that you picked up. Can you roll me 2 of your artificer lore checks?
Give me 2 minutes to actually log in and I will do so.
Absolutely, that's fine. Also, welcome to the stream, bud. Hope you're
Thank
doing
you.
all right.
Sorry,
It's
I'm
like-
late.
No, it's cool. It was like perfect timing there.
Can we also get a long rest, by the way, since we did sleep?
Oh, of course. It's me that has to click that button.
Yes, it is.
Also, can you check Discord?
Loading, loading, loading.
We have to take our turns first.
Six,
Still loading.
3 back, so that's up to 4.
Oh, what? You know what? I bet it's not loading because I haven't updated.
That would do it.
Yeah. Be nice if it just said you're on the wrong version.
Can't hear you, like...
I'll say, I think it does. It's when the check for updates button is red.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have a pop-up. It's saying, hey, pay attention to me. You need to update.
Yeah, like when you try to connect to a game, if it's the wrong version, it just hangs on trying to connect without actually doing anything.
Yes.
Yep, there was an update.
So I suppose while this is going on, Ruby has managed to procure some armor, yes? Or I should say Soul has managed to procure some armor.
Nope, just a shield.
Just a shield, then, and never mind.
I can give you a dagger.
It does me no good.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Is that a Zedaar?
It is a Zedaar, which is why I had to check Discord very quickly. It seems it's less of a clash than we first imagined. So,
Black cat comes out of the ceiling like a xenomorph.
anyway,
I got Gourd. Mine will it be?
so yes, if you can give me those 2 artifice laws, anyway, Zep.
Well, I know it's a +11, I'll just roll the dice manually. 'cause it is
Yeah,
still
let's
loading.
do this. Let's do this manual, the old-fashioned way.
That's a 14,
Okay.
and that's a 13. Wow. I will flash a genius the 13, so 18.
So it's an 18. Wow. So you rolled
I rolled
what?
a 2 and a 3.
Okay. So. Oh, give me an Arcana check as well.
That's a plus. Well, I want-
Don't worry, you'll get a 30.
Nope, I got an 8 plus whatever my modifier is, which I think is like a 9.
I
Pretty
think
sure
it
it's
is
a 9.
9. Hold on, I can check that for you.
Oh, it's 19.
Okay.
And I'll flash a genius that one too. if I can.
Yeah, sure. Of course you can. This has been I imagined that Zep hasn't slept since getting this and has just shut himself away, not only to research,
No, he
but
definitely
also
would have slept because he was basically half asleep already when we got.
That's right.
here.
He slept a bit, so this is what he's been doing all morning. Still works fine. You work out that the main glass that you've gotten seems to have transmutative properties. And it seems like this large 10-foot glass is, whilst it doesn't, the main thing it does is amplify. It's part of the amplification process, and it basically transmutes the energy into the further processes that they get split through. And as you look and you go through some of the pieces of glass and some of the like rings that they were held in, and look at the arcane inscriptions on them, you see that essentially what happens is the energy is transferred through almost like a wheel of magic. So each of the glasses had a different magical school, with this transmutative one being the biggest, due to the amplification requirements. And if you could somehow work out some of the materials of the glass, either by breaking down some of the pieces into its components and working out how the glass is forged, you feel like you could probably recreate these lenses. However, what you have is essentially a transmutation lens, and this would amplify transmutation spells cast using it.
Okay.
And then also you have a giant spyglass, which can view, I think, triple the distance of a normal spyglass, and has essentially you can scale between the three. So like normal spyglass magnification, double spyglass magnification, triple. But it is huge. Like this, it is like a full-on two-person spotter scope in like modern military means. It is a huge contraption, but would fit very nicely to an observation deck of a ship, for example.
So the only person who could have stolen it is the one that stole it.
Yes, essentially was the only one who could pick it up, and the other person that could was Braun, who was down. So, but that's what you find out, and eventually you get a knock on the door, and it's the quartermaster who brings you a cup of coffee and says, I'm gonna need this place back later, but the rest of your crew have been nabbed by Roland, who's been talking to them.
Thank you very much for the cafe. It's very much needed. It has been a long night. I will go and find them and report back on my findings as well.
Speaking of long night, Zaraj.
Yeah, I
Once
would like to. Oh, sorry.
Once everybody.
I want to slink in.
Well, first of all, once everybody went to sleep, you feigned going to sleep yourself before sneaking out of the castle and spending some time scouring the North Island for signs of Gourd. Eventually, you came across a relatively hapless patrol of Eladrin troops, which you dispatched. Not before grabbing one of them, who said that the Leonin, well, their specific terms was the Leonin traitor was taken to the flagship. And now that the sun has risen, and after you finding a place in the north of the city to at least catch a bit of a nap, you sneak back into the castle and see the majority of your party exiting the main keep after talking to Roland Grimm. So, as you guys leave the castle with Willoughby in tow, you see Zedaar kind of just slightly tired, but walking towards you, if she wishes to. And then, should you leave as well, Zep, you also catch sight of the rest of the group, so you can all regroup should you wish to.
Oh, why wouldn't she want to come with us? Guilty conscience, maybe?
We go the complete opposite directions. We split immediately.
Guys,
Just walk away.
I found what Gourd is being kept. He has
You
been
did?
taken to the flagship.
Oh,
Well, Bethany, it seems you are correct. The most well-guarded and heavily defended part of the region.
Going to want to interrogate them and understand why they knew specifically to try and steal these glasses. Most likely, they're going to want to know where it's being moved to.
Your friend's
We need to
going
get it out of here before. We need to get it out of here before he is compelled to reveal information.
He'll be a weak one. He has an addiction. They'll exploit it.
Milk.
Excuse me. Your friend has an addiction to what?
Milk.
Milk.
He's confided in me.
Have you? Is this the first time the rest of you are hearing this? Does everybody look surprised or?
Make an insight check.
There's an eyebrow raise from Breton, but he doesn't say anything.
like, I didn't know. But it makes sense, you know? Like, I'm not surprised.
Zedaar looks guilty and pats her catnip pocket, just like.
Bitch. I have to ask this because this is something from my character's background here. I'm an Oath of the Watchers, which means more part of my thing is that I prevent creatures from other planes encroaching onto ours and futzing with things. Would Breton be aware of the fact that there are just Fae all over the ship? Since the detection of such things is kind of his wheelhouse.
How long have you had that as a thing? Question.
Since he's joined.
Right, okay.
That's the sound of a GM who's angry.
Yes, you would, but the thing is, the ship's magic is unknown to you, but yes, every now and then you get some real, there's a fairy around, vibes.
And there's probably been times where he's been looking around for it, but he hasn't seen any, like there's no reports of like tricks being played. There's no reports of any malevolence. So he's just like, all right, this is innocence at work. I'm not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
But knowing that that Gourd is from, has connections to the Feywild, I'm just curious now what he's thinking of how this works out.
Yeah. But, also, Zedaar and Zep, because you weren't there for the introduction, you see a sort of pale, salt and pepper haired, human-looking male with the group, slightly sort of scuffed up traveler's clothes. You may have seen them walking in and around the encampment here every now and then, but they look to be. The most standout thing about them is like piercing red eyes. For the eye color, not just block red, it's like eye pupil color red.
I think cats are colorblind, so I probably don't really recognize the redness. But can I go up and do a smell vibe check?
Do a smell vibe check of the.
Okay. I sniff you awkwardly, just taking a really deep inhale.
You get a deep inhale of iron, like the same taste that if you cut your lip, taste of blood in your mouth. That's kind of the inhale you get.
Is your friend always this friendly?
Yeah.
Very well.
Yes.
Shall I sniff you back? Is this customary?
Yes, it is my custom. Please do.
I will do the same.
On the butt.
No.
She's not a dog, she's a cat.
Dogs.
Cats do it too. Cats do it too.
They do, but
Bethany was
humans
not
don't do
born
it.
Yesterday.
I mean, some people are real friendly with their cats, I'm not gonna lie.
Actually, because
How does Zedaar smell?
yeah, how does Zedaar smell? Oh,
Well, Zedaar smells of regret, remorse.
It's probably
Definitely,
wood smoke.
yeah, deep sadness, some smoke, little crispy bits of flesh, probably.
Zedaar is
crisped into her
covered in
fur.
other people's blood as well. Right
Hint
now.
of time for some reason.
Yeah,
Also has
catnip.
macano.
This is a
Tacos.
very heady and intoxicating concoction that you have enveloping your body's aroma.
Wow, that was a disquieting way of describing someone's scent.
I'll definitely have to step back for a moment, thank you.
Not a problem.
Zep, because you are geographically closest to where this individual might be from, give me a history check. Please.
Okay. That would be a 21.
It's the eyes that give it away, but the individual you have been met with seems to be a denizen of one of the Nardathelian kingdoms, well, perhaps the one closest to where you're from in Shelts, across the sea in Anrayne. The eye color standing out as there is a well-known blood disease that occurs to some denizens of that region, which gives the almost albino-like certain genetic features, but not all of them. And yeah, there's a lot of rumors that surround said blood disease as well. Some good, some very bad.
Okie dokie.
But all of you are grouped up. What would you like to discuss?
So the matter at hand is a decision on what we're going to do about the situation. Are we going to prioritize helping Gourd, or with your research of the topic, Zeb, have you found that there is anything lacking, anything more that we need to obtain in regards to this spell cannon?
It would take me a bit longer investigation, but the lens that Valmir was able to procure is a very large glass which will enhance the transmutative magics that are cast through it. It is the main focus that is then concentrated by the subsequent glasses. I do not yet know what this is made of, but I hope that I recovered enough of the broken shards that I can hopefully distill it and maybe find out what they are made of. With a little bit more time, perhaps we can steal some more of this substance if they carry it.
So we don't want to call the Skyfire in yet.
No, I don't think so. I am pretty confident that I would be able to recreate this device, however, if we have the lenses. And if we do, we will have one of their own weapons to use against them, which might force their flagship into activities it may otherwise wish to avoid, like fleeing.
From my understanding, what these other lenses were was the flagship itself.
Correct.
Right now, they can't fight back.
Correct.
And the Skyfire is quite a bit more maneuverable than their ships. If we can get into a position where we can just rain down fire on them from this weapon, we could force them to give Gourd up for us to stop.
We could even steal the ship itself.
Now, I like that idea.
The question of consideration here was that we remember the flagship is not by itself, it is protected by a flotilla.
Each of them have this spell cannon?
I thought it was just the flagships that carried them.
Yeah, it's the main
So
gunships.
so they can't fire back. But any
Yeah,
attempt for us to board them would be met by
Not with the spell cannon.
Not
but
with the spell.
presumably
They
there
still
are-
have arms. Yeah, they're
Yes.
still armed craft.
They're still warships.
But we can fly and rain upon them.
Either way, we kind of need to get this lens onto the Skyfire. And I know I've come up with this idea before. I think it's still a reckless and stupid, but kind of genius idea. Just fly over them, jump out onto their ship, take it over, rescue Gourd. I don't know.
I would remind you, though, that if their ship is of a similar fighting strength of those that we in Lederong's land use, it usually has a crew of about 300, maybe even more.
That would be more than we could handle.
How long do you think that this will take you to recreate the cannon? And do you think that you can make it here without all of your tools from our ship? Just with whatever tools may be found in this city?
The great thing about workshops is they themselves can be built.
So is that a yes?
With time. All of this will take time.
Perhaps
And I need more of the material. I managed to take as much as I could, but I do not think it would be enough. And there is a high chance that the different lenses use different materials.
I
the other-
vote we call in the Skyfire. Because I think us being on the ground with the lens is asking for trouble.
I agree.
Getting the lens somewhere safe, so at the very least the Notathalians can take the time to research this as well. Seems like a smart second step.
Not even leaving here, but just having something mobile. That way we
Well,
can't be tied down. We can move around.
if they torture and interrogate Gourd, he will tell them, hopefully not, but if they break him, he will tell them about the Skyfire. So maybe they would be
Where?
expecting this.
We should
They will-
get it here sooner rather than later, would be my vote.
It's the safest place for the lens. It's a place that we control. We have full knowledge of every single person that is within its vicinity, all of the crew. We know them. And while I'm sure the defenders of this castle are phenomenal and brilliant, we don't know them, and there could still be spies. The Skyfire is a controlled environment.
Personally trained everyone on that ship. Trust
Exactly.
them.
Also, Kulea is in this very castle, and we know how things go with Kulea. Braun,
Yeah,
by the way. Don't forget.
I don't want to be in the same place as Greer with the lens. Seems like a big profit maker if you were to have that kind of idea.
Is there space for the Skyfire to land here?
We have to go to the
is-
South Island to do it secure the best.
Yeah, just because I covered that before, there is enough land that you could land here, but it may or may not be in range of the dockyard, so it may still take some flack as it comes down. But it could probably now get to the South Island near the South Island relatively easily without being hampered as much. But of course, it's an airship, and it's a big one at that, so it will garner attention when you do call it in. So it's more of a case of you just need to be ready to move.
We can have Donovan and his men clear a perimeter, make sure we have cleared area out to a certain distance from where it lands, and should be okay. If there's anyone we can trust, be Donovan.
This would mean taking the lens out of the castle, though.
It's It's got to leave the castle eventually.
Do you trust more us returning to the South Island with it, or the Skyfire being able to withstand whatever they're able to throw at us?
We have 2 skyships. We have the smaller one as well. We could use that as a transport.
No. The one we had to rescue?
It has been improved. Probably.
There's also
Gonna use a veto on that.
there's also another option in that we can turn one of us invisible and make them fly, and they can fly to the South Island with the lens.
Or fly straight up to the airship.
Or fly straight up to the airship.
We could have never mind.
I will remind you that I am an aeronautical engineer. If anyone can make this thing fly, it would be me.
You are the one risking the most. If the ship gets shut down, that is your creation. So it is up to you, in my opinion.
The ship is an acceptable risk. It is the lens I am most concerned of. It is the prize that we hold, and it is the prize that they want back.
I say we get to the South Island.
Are there ways of tracking the lens?
We have to assume they can.
It's an
Moving
object
it
like
is
any
even
other.
more risky.
Yeah, some mages can track objects, but for a short distance.
Do you want to put it in a box or something? Would that help?
There's certain materials that I believe will help block any arcane signals. Maybe if we could.
And I believe I
acquire
would
some
know
of
what
that
those
material.
Yeah, lead. Leadwood.
Okay.
Right. Do we have any lead foil?
It needs
Lead
more
comes
than
in foil.
So you'd need a 10-foot by 10-foot sheet of lead times 2 to make a box, essentially, to put this lens in.
I say we do the flying plan.
There is another plan if we have the resources for it. I have some knowledge about how to remain hidden from certain creatures of beyond planes, and for anything for that matter. It's a spell called non-detection.
Non-detection sounds good.
By using it, it would prevent it from being able to be scryed upon for at least 24 hours. It would effectively go dark and not show up until hopefully it is far from here. The only issue is it does require, well, diamond dust.
How do you know it hasn't already been scryed upon?
The question is, the thing is that nope, Darius wouldn't know that.
It doesn't matter if they scry upon it now. Of course, I'm pretty sure they know that we've taken it. I'm pretty sure they would assume that it's gone to the castle. If they've scried upon it and found that it's, oh, by the way, it's at the castle, that's not going to be a surprise to them. But if we can stop it from being seen for 24 hours while we move it, they will assume that it's still in the castle.
I would point out of character, or would ask, scry, I'm thinking of it right, scry doesn't let you just like, scry lets you see an object, but it's not like every,
Yes.
it's very immediate around the object.
Yes,
And you
15
don't
feet.
really
You could also scry an area.
Yeah, but it has to know that area
Yeah.
to do it. You can't just say the castle, so it's got to be like a specific area of the castle. And it
I'll also
would-
throw non-detection in chat just so people can read it.
So Darius doesn't know this, but technically they wouldn't get a lot even if they scried on the lens. They'd have to scry on one of us to really get like any like usable
It's
information.
all about context clues and stuff. Very-
Yeah, so we could just
How
wrap
far
it in a
away-
tarp.
Is the ship?
Right.
Is it 8 hours walking away? Within a day's journey?
Oh no.
It's been flying a route along the trade coast of the Rien right now, as ordered.
Oh, that's right. We're going to be minted when we get back to it.
So I know how I can get the lens out of the city. When I was trying to find Gourd, I was so emotionally unstable that perhaps Sol will know about this, but I was able to cross over into another plane of existence. It is
Blank, 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 blank,
As we
blank.
all do. As we all
very
do.
separate from this plane, but I can still see this one, but I don't believe that the people here can see me. And I believe I can stay there long enough to at least take the lens out of the city if I have a rendezvous point elsewhere.
We're surrounded by an ocean.
I
Oh, please don't remind me.
think that actually is an issue. When I am in this plane, it is like I am weightless. I can fly, basically.
And how long can you stay in that plane?
You're speaking of the ethereal plane.
Yes. It is known as etherealness. I have been struggling to maintain control over this power for a while, but when I was searching for Gourd, I believe I was able to access this place, and I can stay there, I think, a day, 8 hours to be precise. Not that I've measured it.
It's
Those are,
very
two different,
precise
those are two very different things.
I don't think either of them are going to be able. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to get to a shoreline in that time.
8-hour hike
Over the water.
an ocean. An 8-hour
No.
over ocean hike. Do we have water walking?
Don't. Right.
Not for all of us. Do just we have one?
I mean, I think I do.
I have the ability to give it to the whole group of us.
Okay, but for how long does it last?
Quite a long time, if I remember right.
Can I
Let
get
me check.
Walking's an hour, I believe.
It is in my spell list. Let me check. Water walk. There it is. 1 hour.
Okay.
And water breathing is 24 hours.
True. I'm just checking one thing here.
You do
about-
water walking while somebody is falling into the water. Would they get the world's worst case of a belly flop?
So
I've had that question asked to me before, is if I can walk on water and then I fall and hit the water, is that worse or better than falling into the ground? And the answer is it's the same, because that's how it normally is with water.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
Very true.
falling into the water doesn't actually soften a fall at all.
But you can pencil dive with your feet. And
Yeah, only break your legs.
Throw like a hammer before you break the surface tension.
It does mitigate it by like
works.
what, 20, 30 feet or something like that, but it's not like, you fall into water, you're fine. That's not how it works.
So if we just get to a shoreline and have water walk cast on a person and I guess a traveling companion, they can walk 1.5 miles out to sea and be picked up.
If they can be found when they're out at sea. There are no landmarks to navigate by.
We could get like a high, you could probably make a high vis vest or a reflective panel.
I could also. You can also.
It's quite
just throw
literally a
fireball in
lens
the
as
air.
well, so you could just have light bouncing off the lens like a mirror.
Darius, you have a literal flashlight thing.
Yeah, but it's a very pinpoint. It's not that.
That's trying to hit a plane with a laser pointer. That's what that is.
There are things such as
Hey,
flares.
that's illegal in the States. You can
yeah,
do
I was
it.
just gonna say.
Like
Yeah, we could
there's
like
flares, right, Midge?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are flares. We saw the Eladrin engineers use them.
Yeah, just get like 5 or 10 of those. That's what the other person's there for. You have like a bag of flares, just to make sure. And yeah, you go out, and that's an easy way of picking up the lens without exposing them to danger, less exposure to danger. There's always chances. And then when you've got the lens on board, they can quickly come in here and we can get on board without having to worry about the lens being in danger during that transfer. It's a little bit easier. That, or they just come and we board with the lens. Like, we don't need to make it more difficult.
I think this is a lot more planning than what we think to do. Why not just get the ship to come to the South Island, we put it on, we get the fuck out of here. Sorry, Gourd.
Yep.
This is Beth speaking.
No, that's what I originally, that's also what Roach suggested too. But
I mean,
I'm not comfortable with the fuck Gourd part.
your friend was called a traitor, was he not?
You're traitor to the Eladrin, kind of.
Traitor is a
Yes,
strong
but-
word. It's
How
They sacrificed him.
but the actual description of what he was, yes.
Not really. They sacrificed him.
he was a hero.
How do you?
You have
I don't know
traitors that are
much about your
heroes.
friend, so I'm kind of at a loss here. But where did he come from? Like, how did you all meet?
And then Soul for the Priest of Revision will then go to talk about how they met.
That Soul doesn't
That's a really
directly
long
remember.
story.
Soul doesn't
Soul
remember that,
no.
so that.
Wait, you've got the. Did she write it in the
Ruby's journal.
diary?
Yes.
So it'll be up to Darius, Valmir, or Zep at this point, I think, to describe
The
that.
diary! I know exactly
Oh,
what
that's true.
happened.
The diary.
I'll be like,
Ruby's
damn, you weren't
virgin
even
of
there,
what
and you've got a better
happened.
memory than I
Is
do.
that-
Unreliable narrator.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Fucking lying person who I don't trust because he's lying.
Wow, it seems like
if
Ruby
we-
really
if-
wrote herself as the hero.
If Soul gives the version of Ruby's diary, it is going to start explicitly saying, so there's a spy amongst our ranks, this Leonid that was given to us by the Eladrin Empire.
And now they just reclaimed him,
Seems
and now he's
pretty
getting all the
sus.
information. But also, he commits war crimes, so I don't know.
That wasn't in the diary, though.
He was a stoic, strong warrior of indeterminate moral fortitude.
Who worship Bahamut? Question mark.
And milk!
Yes.
Exclamation mark.
Did he worship or did he believe? There might be a difference there.
You seem quite interested in how we feel about this one character you've never met, sir.
Well, you guys are all making a very important decision about where you're going to lead. And
We're not leaving him behind. That's kind of all really
I
that
don't
you.
think we have a choice.
I don't
He
think
knew
we
what he
do
was
either.
getting into, and we almost got. We did almost die multiple times yesterday, fighting one group of moderate strength. Then he's on the flagship.
You do know they're going to torture him, right?
Yes.
Like you're aware of this, and you're okay with this.
No.
I am prepared to be captured if it happens. I understand.
Fine, and
We'll
I'm
go into
prepared
a
to go
fight.
and try and rescue you if that happens.
I believe.
It's not about what we want to do, Valmir. It's what we're capable of doing.
I
Capable of
think
trying.
Capable of probably getting killed. They know we're going to
Kind of
come for him.
job
They're going to be
description.
ready for him on the single most defensible point on this entire island. Be smart about this.
So we just
Soul
need a good
says,
plan.
channeling her inner Ruby.
So we just need a good plan.
That will then probably be ignored.
We should take the
We've-
diary away from her.
we quite literally had a good plan that immediately went to shit.
Okay, but
Partially
half of the
because
reason why it went to shit is currently captured. So
Time
that's
out, because listen, Gourd only acted on my idea. This was not Gourd's idea, and he should not be faulted for it. But while we're talking about plans and rules, might I remind you that I am a person who does not play by rules. Every time we try to play by the rules, something bad happens. Me not playing by the rules, something bad still happened. We tried to play by the king's rules. You all said, oh no, we will pretend like he's not going to be assassinated. And you know what happens then? My friend Ruby died.
Right here.
And this time, I'm not going to let it happen to Gourd. And if you guys don't want to rescue him, I'm not saying we have to go today, I think he's strong enough. He can deal with it. But I will go after him. I did not grow up with mercenaries teaching me how to fight or in some castle with some bodyguard. And like I look up at Breton, just like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But I learned how to take opportunities. And that's what Gourd and I did during that battle. And I'm sorry, I know it was not a good decision. It did not work out well. But if it had, we could have easily won everything. I took a risk, and now Gourd is paying the price for it. And that's not fair. It should be me captured.
In that you are right.
Oh, wow.
So whether we rescue him today or next week once we have a spell cannon, I don't know how to do it. I'm not the brains of this operation, but I can't let him go.
I didn't say we were abandoning him. I said we have more important things to do right now. We have to get this off the island and into a safe place, and then we can work out how to go about that.
There is a difference between giving up and knowing what forces you have at your disposal to reasonably accomplish something. With what we have right now, if Gourd was captured by the king of the Eladrin Empire, we would not full-heartedly charge in there expecting to take down every member of his royal guard, every archmage at his disposal, and him himself to rescue him. We would form forces to do it successfully.
I do have a plan. I have an outline. But I need to acquire funds before that's viable.
You mentioned your
Maybe Eladrin
friend
off.
had an affiliation, correct?
Paying my brother off to get his men.
Sorry, repeat that, Shane. I couldn't hear you when they were talking.
Your friend had an affiliation with some sort of group, right? That was mentioned?
Nice.
Fortunately, Breton doesn't know that. That was the Zedaar information.
I mean,
It was.
yeah, it was Zedaar information.
It
And
was revealed when Zaraj revealed she was a Knight's Pilgrim when we were in the tent with... Oh, crap.
this is all just
Can't remember.
this. Welcome to How Well Did You Know Gourd?
It was a long time ago. I don't remember what tent we were in, but it was all of us, and I think it was actually with the Duke and Ruby's father.
Yeah. Ooh.
I think it was it was a while back in one of those scenarios when we were in the war camps and stuff.
You mean the organization that Gourd was a member of?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. You might be able to find aid for him from there. If anybody knows how to reach out.
I know who they are, but I do not know where.
Well, that might be a resource to us that might give us a lead somewhere that we don't all have to be directly involved, and you can go after your bigger measures, it seems. That's what this is here, right? Is your one friend's life worth the greater good that you all are trying to achieve? If your friend has been hanging around with you as he has, it seems, and you all seem very capable, I would be inclined to believe Zaraj in saying that he's probably capable of holding out for quite some time. Have faith. You never know. People might surprise you.
Well,
Can I do
Gourd
an insight check on this guy?
Sure.
Yes, I would like to do this too.
Absolutely. Go for it.
I immediately distrust him.
Was it the glowing red eyes, by any chance?
Or is it the fact that he's not showing his teeth when he smiles?
23.
Wait a minute.
That's nothing uncommon. I don't
You
show my teeth
smell
when I
like
smile.
blood and iron.
Does he sparkle in the sunlight?
Yeah, what's the, is it daytime?
It is.
What are you?
It is daytime
What are
right
you
now.
guys, I guess, trying to insight?
Yeah.
Tactical assessment. Hold on, I'm just double checking if I can add.
Is there like a shield
Yeah, I'm
or
gonna
a
use a
silver
superiority
thing?
die to add a D10 to that.
like a mirror, shiny mirror sort of?
So I'm just trying to figure out what's his deal.
What, just generally, like, why is he so open to helping you kind of deal? Or...
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how to word it. Is he for real?
Is he past the vibe check?
Yeah. Yeah, it's my version of a smell.
I'm smelling him.
Well, I'll so that's a +5, so that's an 18. So I'll let Shane answer. It's like, is he for real? Like, what kind of insight do you?
For real?
I mean, also you can DM this to that, and then also Zep, what you try to insight? The same thing, or just
Whether this person is even trustworthy, and more importantly, why is he here? Who is he?
He's so. That's right. Zep wasn't in the room when he was introduced. So
There's a reason I've been as cagey as I have.
So as far as yes, he's being honest with you. He's just being like a logical voice in the situation, trying to kind of say, "Hey, look, there's this route and there's this route that y'all are trying to decide between, and you might not be looking at all of the options you have available to achieve both routes." So he's just trying to be a voice of reason in a sense in this moment.
Right.
No, like discontent or anything, or like malcontent or whatever hard like negativity towards you at all. You're not getting that vibe.
Okay. Cool.
As
Can
far
I also
as
know his constitution score and current armor class, please?
still adding equipment, so current armor class is unavailable, but you don't
give me
really
that when
see
you
him
need it.
adorned with anything armor.
I can know the exact
moment.
actual number. Of
Yeah, I
your
know.
I know. I can't.
he can't give it to you right now because he's still making the character.
Okay, just give me that when you can.
I will.
Just, it's a
And the same thing with HP, because I don't remember if we.
Oh, I don't get
roll
that.
or-
Like,
No, you just con
have to-
score. Con score.
Oh, con scores. Con score is a 12.
okay, cool. Got the +1. Great. So that makes him vulnerable. Got it.
While we're talking about this, when I realized that this new person is basically telling me to give up on, Gourd, who I love, and I sit down and I meditate the way that Gourd showed me how, and I sit crisscross applesauce on the floor, and my little tail just wags behind me, just kind of flicking, and I start to extend out my primeval awareness, and I want to know if there are any aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, or undead within a mile of me.
Don't think it counts on any of those.
Hold on.
Undead?
Would she set
doesn't.
soul?
He doesn't know.
Yeah, you're
but
celestial.
you get a little bit of celestial from soul, but I'm trying to work out with the red-eyed blood-cursed man in front of you.
The new blood.
Hold on.
That's up to you, Midge. If you're letting the celestial slide, then that is entirely a DM prerogative thing.
Yeah. Okay. It's not no. It's because it's. Okay, I'll say this. You get a similar iron taste in your mouth. It doesn't say like, oh man, this is a lich, like super undead coming for me, but there's just an unease with the sense. In the same way that you get like a subtle warmth with soul, there's just a iron about James.
I say nothing about that, and instead I look to Soul and I go, "Are you a god?"
God, I hope not.
Why are you invoking Soul like this?
Well, I felt the presence of a deity. I poke her.
Ow.
Uncomfortable
Poker back.
shift.
Looking confused. Makes us.
Yeah, you're
breakfast every
you're
morning.
technically human, so you don't think. I'm just trying to refine Van Richter's guide. I'm trying to refine my Van Richter's guide to Ravenloft.
If it is what I think it is,
They're still considered a humanoid. They do
Yes.
not have any undead attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading here.
Yeah,
Creature type.
yeah,
It says
you're
you
not-
are a humanoid. That's it. There's no. You
Yeah.
are an undead. You are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a type of person, and you are one. I don't want to mention that I think you're slightly undead and that you smell of blood. At first, I liked the smell of it, but now I realize,
It just
Probably
reminds you of
not
Gourd
cool.
being gone.
yeah, and my fur's all dirty, covered in other people's blood, and
Some of it's your own.
licking myself to clean.
Some of it is your own. Oh,
How much
no.
of a beating we took? Probably most of it is still her own as well.
Oh god, yeah. All of you need a bath. Like all of you need a bath.
prestidigitation.
So, with those insights done, yes. To catch you up.
Oh, I didn't answer Zep.
Oh yeah, answer Zep.
Yeah. So for Zep, he was offered to the party to help since you were all low on numbers by, I can't remember the guy's name. Bad me.
Rolling Grim.
Rolling Grim. So he's just here to help at this point.
I'm here to help.
Okay. I mean, if you were recommended by Roland. Okay.
Yeah, Bishop from Alien was just there to help.
He to give you the same reason is that James has been the inside man in North Island for Roland since the invasion, essentially. Disguised and James has been disguising himself as like a local healer for the population, and also that's why he like goes from house to house and is seen a lot in the streets and is given the wave through by a lot of Eladrin forces because he peddles concoctions and does, heals the common cold and the other things that peasantry might be dealing with.
Lance,
I trusted.
common boil and help people with, all the simple ailments.
Large beak-shaped mask at his hip,
I trusted him more. He'd be the perfect mule to get the lens to the South Island because they wouldn't really worry about what he's carrying.
I mean, depending how large it is.
I'm actually wondering if we can use Gourd's predicament as a distraction while we move the lens to the South Island. If we launch a rescue attempt, the Eladrin will be focused on us.
I think that's a bad idea. I think we're overcomplicating it. I think we get the lens out, and we don't. One, if we tried that, it's going to be 10 times harder to get to him later, because they'll know that he is important enough that there was a rescue attempt.
Would we be able to...
future planning, we should come to a decision first of which we're going to do. Shall we exfiltrate the island or shall we go for Gourd? We should vote to decide which of these options is the majority and then come up with a plan of what we're going to do next.
The ruby part of me doesn't want to leave anybody behind, but the soul part of me says this lens is too important to leave behind. And Gourd would understand that too, I think.
You could think of it as a tactical splitting of the party. To reconvene later. It's not a goodbye, just a ta-ta for now.
Yes,
If
but also you
we-
should never split the party.
Yeah, if we leave the city to recreate a spell cannon, which would, we can come back then and use that weapon against the ship to rescue Gourd, I am okay to do this as long as we promise we will come back for him.
That we will. That's my promise.
Leaving gives us options. Not even just trying to break him out, we could also potentially capture an important individual for the Eladrin and do a prisoner swap. A lot of things that can happen if we just back off and think on things instead of acting.
James,
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
I think any potential rescue of Gourd would be also more successful if we had the Skyfire.
I am still very much in favor of stealing the flagship if we can find a way of doing it. Having such a vessel on our side would significantly change the balance of power in the ocean here.
Would I know what kind of makeup the Eladrin's navy is? Like, say there's 300 crew. Is it 100 fighters and 200 slave rowing it, or what?
Is it even 300? Like if it's a
Yeah, like
vessel, it probably is less.
do I have any idea?
No. You weren't a part of the Eladrin military, nor were you from above ground, nor do you have that kind of insight. If it was like, you know, how the defensive network of the Undercities work, then sure. But, no.
You're also deathly afraid of the ocean, so...
Yeah.
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 So why would you know anything
But
about
I went to school. Sort of. I mean, I had a tutor.
But, you have been told that, there's one main fleet for the Bay of Gold that is sort of, and there is one flagship of the bay, which is a much smaller vessel. There's multiple fleets in the Bay of Gold. There's a flagship to the flotilla that's here, which is essentially their main sort of military type vessel. It's like one ship of the line plus a load of like smaller frigates is kind of the like, and that ranges from like sloops to single deckers, and then the main ship being probably a double deck, like a 2-decker. Because you have had that information in the big meeting before you killed Ruby's dad, and vice versa.
How many does Zep believe would be on that ship?
Well, Master Zep, I say this respectfully, but do we want to declare our all-out war against the Eladrin Empire when we have, at least if Ruby's words are to be believed, a larger problem?
We've murdered
Already done
multiple individuals in their military.
The issue still maintains with the flagship. Can we handle its entire escort?
If we can take the flagship,
If we take the flagship,
without-
the escorts will fall upon us once it starts to leave. There is no way we are going to sneak the flagship out of here.
that flagship is stronger than those other ships. If it's a double-decker, I don't even know if the smaller ships would even be able to board it.
Also, just as a reminder, you do know there is an extra ship of the person who has been given governorship of Repri, that faster Underdark ship.
Lady
Right.
Spider Queen.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
thought that was the flagship.
No.
Oh, I've been working under false assumption, sorry.
No.
See, Matron Kilmator
Yes.
is her name.
In that case, do we even know where Gourd is being held?
The flagship.
The
The flagship.
flagship. But
Yeah.
I think we need the spell cannon to blow up all of the other ships and leave only the flagship. Otherwise, there will be too many of them.
Again, we're getting into planning. We're getting into planning without having settled on a course of action. So we have.
I've been using these plans as a way to try to decide my own feelings on this case. Gourd has done something I find very difficult to forgive. But also, he saved my life during the battle. So for this reason, I will abstain from this decision.
It appears he only aided and abetted. I don't know if he was the direct cause.
He still allowed it to happen.
We also
very
weren't
well.
here. So, I'm sure you're-
I'm just saying there might be a little bit of a morally gray area because of your friend's admission to their involvements in directing him in a certain direction.
I was simply told that Gourd and Zaraj were in the process of burning people alive.
1,000.
If Zedaar would like to
my
fill this in,
decision.
she may, but
Those weren't the exact words used.
But my only regret is that we did not wait for the rest of the party to show up, but I saw at least 50 people in a building that were going to attack us, and I took an opportunity to try to lessen the numbers. I would do it again, but
and that is why you and I will continue to have a problem, Sarash.
it's understandable.
No, it is not. I have been in this situation before. I have heard the screams of people dying in the burning buildings. It is not something I wish to hear again. It is not something I would wish even on my worst enemies.
Except it is war. They would have killed us. In fact, we're very close to doing so and may very well kill Gourd. The issue...
That may very well be, but we choose our weapons, and this is a weapon we should never even countenance.
So, to shoot people with a gun is okay. To blast them with a spell is okay. But to use fire, a thing from nature, is not?
To burn them in a place where they are trapped? No, that is not okay.
Regardless, we have an abstention, 2 votes to leave. We're gonna pull these votes out. We're gonna pull like teeth. So the other 3 that have not abstained.
I imagine my vote will be much the same as Sol's here. We have a priority, and that priority is to ensure that the Nautilus and the remaining alliance against the Eladrin have every tool at their disposal as soon as possible. The longer that we wait here, the more difficult it becomes to get that mirror out where it needs to be. And while rescuing Gourd is important, tarrying here risks both of these plans failing.
I agree. I think we take the lens out, recreate a spell cannon, use it to blow up boats. Get Gourd.
4 votes to leave.
My vote is to not leave this region of Retberry, whether we are on the island or in the air above it. We don't leave Retberry until we have Gourd.
4 votes to leave. 1.
Seems reductive, but okay.
Then 1's kind of hedging. All right. I think we have a course of action that we have now voted democratically for.
Okay.
So, to leave, how do we want to do this? Is the next question. Do we just want the ship to pick us up here and risk it? Or do we want to take the slightly... Well, there's equal danger, but in a different way. Going to the South Island, getting there is the issue, and then being picked up in relative safety.
I trust us to work through the sewers and get to the South Island. I am not fully confident, as I do not know the strength of their ships. I'm not fully confident that the Skyfire is safe if it tries to land here.
I agree.
Question for the DM. If the spell cannon was set up here on the castle, could it reach the ships out on the shore?
Give me a Artificer Law check, please.
That is a 28.
God
Okay.
damn.
You think, range-wise, considering what you saw, fire, etc., it could. The issue would be line of sight.
It's like having a rifle's bolt and going. It says range of about a half mile. It's
I
like-
guess that's why the spell cannon didn't stay on the ship while it shot at the castle.
We have an elevated position, though.
You'd be able to see some from here, but probably the best view would be the lighthouse.
Yeah.
But it's not just the spell cannon that's an issue. To land, it will have to be immobile and near the ground, which puts it in range of multiple missile-type weapons.
And I assume that the Eladrin currently control the lighthouse, right?
Gourd's right here.
You don't know.
He's climbing all over Darius as we speak.
Can't hear you, thank God.
Well, Red Ice, you have been here for a while. Do you know who controls the lighthouse at the moment?
James, you will probably be aware that the lighthouse is currently very much neutral. Because the lighthouse person, or the group that run the lighthouse, basically were given amnesty's the wrong word, but like they've been told to keep it running so that, you know, it doesn't affect the entirety of shipping and the entirety of the Bear Gold, because not only would the Eladrin have issues, but also many of the Eladrin's trade partners would also still have issue. So
basically, to make sure that travel among the seas is still safe and enemy ships can get in, as well as trade ships that are necessary for them for their supply lines, that's sort of a nobody touches it kind of area. We all need it. They need it just as much as we do, and they realize that they don't have any other means of implementing any other form of safe passage that allows. So hopefully that answers your question.
So there's 4 factions in this city. The invaders, the majority government, a crazy rabbit, and the Lighthouse Guild.
If we build a cannon on top of that lighthouse and use it to shoot at ships, that removes a faction, because that automatically makes the lighthouse the enemy of the Eladrin.
I don't know why we're talking about that as an option right now anyways, because we still need to, 1, be able to get there, which would require us getting out of this castle. So we're trying to work out if we're doing that first. So can we work in chunks to a plan?
How long would it take to fly out of the castle and like go south? Like to Donovan's place if you were flying?
oh, like by personal flight,
Yeah.
15 minutes.
You might also be accompanied by a hail of arrows occasionally if you're caught in the skies.
I wonder if we are overthinking this. Most of the siege weaponry capable of hitting the Skyfire would be on their ships, correct?
Correct.
Not necessarily. We destroyed their primary siege weapon and have not done anything to the rest of them.
Your way.
Alright.
So, are you capable of casting Fly?
You're muted.
Yes.
I'm capable of making someone invisible. What we could do together is say Breton, because he is strong as fuck. We make him able to fly, we make him invisible, and then we have him, if he's okay with it, of course, of carrying the lens out of the castle above to bring it south safely, and we don't have to risk the lens, at least in the sewers.
I think that's a great plan, because 1, we can handle ourselves in the sewers. We killed the last patrol in under 6 seconds. And
Ma, you are efficient.
2, yes. And 2, that negates the fact that you'll be shot at while you're flying. So we can just, you go, we'll meet you there, and then we don't have to worry about anything, and we can get that done. We can be in relative safety of a friendly zone of the city in under 2 hours.
Invisibility, I can make it last for an hour.
Well, the flight will only be 15 minutes, so
I think that's 10 minutes on the spell.
Yeah, but you move 60 feet.
We could have. Britton, are you able to carry the lens and soul at the same time?
Soul is not an
Carry-
item, so she would not be invisible. Just as a point.
I say we do that. That
Strap a
mitigates.
broom
the
What?
most-
Don't objectify me.
What if we kill her? Wait, no.
This-
I am capable of making someone invisible as well,
Okay, for how long?
as long as the others.
An
It's
hour.
10 minutes. No, an hour. Flight is 10 minutes, yeah.
If it's an hour, we're fine. It's 15-minute flight.
Yeah.
So Breton
10
will just be
minutes.
on the ground after 15 minutes, waiting for us.
You would
at
have to
Donovan's.
recast fly because that only lasts 10 minutes, but that would work. We make the both of you invisible. You both fly out invisibly. You might need to sit down a second, recast fly the rest of the way. Job done. Bingo.
The other option is to use your glove. Then Breton could do it himself.
Yeah, that's a good
My
point.
glove is currently empty, but yes.
We could imbue it with a
Yes.
spell. So we do that. And then while that's all going on, we leave. And we meet back in the South Island and wait for the Skyfire.
I will contact Marcus now. We need to know how far out the Skyfire is anyway. Hey, Marcus. Start making your way back to Redbury, South Island. How far out are you?
We are probably 8 hours flight.
Perfect. Get out of here today.
8 hours away.
Sounds like we'll have plenty of time for all of us to get over there and then work out a defense from Donovan so we don't get ambushed or anything like that while we're onboarding. Sounds like a good plan.
Are you able to do this non-detection thing on the lens as well, Breton?
So long as we have the material component for it, yes. I don't have any of that at my disposal.
Diamond.
I only have mine.
It doesn't require an exorbitant amount, but it does require some. It actually specifically states that it is an object no larger than 10 feet in any dimension, so it is specifically just big enough for this.
Otherwise, I make a lead container.
I can try to find a diamond, but I don't know the wealthy and
I only
there are no
have mine. And I have
I
mine.
think we're overthinking it.
Am I not heard?
no.
we
we
had
hear
you.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I have a diamond.
Is it a diamond or diamond dust that you said?
For Revivify.
Yeah, I would save
not
it.
what you possess, but for your very large friends' capabilities. Was it diamond dust or a diamond?
He needed diamond dust.
It is a diamond dust.
Well, unfortunately, my dear, we'd have to shatter that pretty nastily. Would not be able to be recovered. Are you willing to give that up?
Or I make a container out of lead.
But
I
that's going to
like-
take.
Probably not very long, but also that'd be very heavy.
Yes.
I mean,
I think
Breton
we're
is a
overthinking.
Breton.
But if Breton is not carrying Sol, is there a limit to flight? How much you can carry? I don't think it
Oh,
works like levitate.
Breton could carry a car.
The
It's
limit
okay.
is that the limit is your carry.
He's already
weight.
carrying this group. He might as well carry this.
It's your normal carry weight is the limit, but it also has to be an object so that it stays invisible. But again, I think we're overthinking it because one, it's very limited time that they can scry on an object, and they don't necessarily get a lot of context clues from where it is. I think we're overcomplicating the plan.
I'm going to take the glove off and hand it to Soul and say, so I guess if you could make my glove fly, or I don't even know how this thing works, but yeah.
It works like a spell, ring of spell storing, so she casts fly into it, it is stored, and then whoever uses it needs to be attuned to it.
So,
And then they can
Should
use
put
it
it
when
on
they need
now.
it. Okay.
I cast heavy as a stone. I'm kidding.
Okay, you cast a cast of fly goes in, so mark off the spell slot. Breton, you begin attuning to this. Breton, you have the attunement slots.
I should absolutely have the attunement slots. I'm only attuned to one item, I think.
Okay.
2 items. Nope, 2 items. I have the spare spot.
You prep the glass to be, or the lens to be tied to Breton. And who is casting fly on him to start with then?
I can't make anyone fly.
It would have to be Soul.
Okay.
Maybe we should make him invisible first so we can actually see him for the fly.
Good point. No, wait, no, the fly needs to go
Other way
first
around.
and then the
Yeah,
invisible.
right.
Yeah, no,
was
that was
testing
almost
you
a bad
in the
idea.
The thing that needs to go first is the non-detection if I'm going to be made invisible, if we're going to be using that.
I don't think we are, because we have one diamond that we would have to destroy, and that diamond is used to revivify a person, which we've gotten very close to needing yesterday. So I think
the diamond
we're
needs to
good.
stay intact.
Yeah, I think we're not gonna do that. We're gonna hope the
How much is the diamond worth that you have? Because you need diamond dust for revivify as well. It's not an actual diamond, I believe. Or it turns it into dust in the spell, so I would allow diamond dust as the same thing. So if you have enough weight, you could, but I don't actually think you have a diamond that would cover both a revivify spell and non-detection. Soul?
Yes. What am I casting? I'm sorry.
I asked you...
How big is the diamond?
It's just 300 gold's worth of diamond.
Okay, then yes, you wouldn't. But also...
It's the only one she has, and it's specifically for Revivify.
saying we're
So if somebody dies,
Like your camera.
Like your camera, yes, indeed. It flickered off. Let's find this Discord. No, this is to a point. Actually, knowing what Brett knows about it, he is... I guess it'd be an Arcana check for him to know anything about scrying, which he's really bad at.
Go for it. You can go for it.
could just ask Zap. Roll 30.
That's a 3. He did not... I suppose the risk is worth it. I mean, I'm going to be in the... even... I don't know. It's not going to be 15 minutes. It's going to be all of a few. I'll be up and back down without much time at all.
Make sure you get enough altitude in case they can see through invisibility, making the long shots harder.
And a fair point. Even if I am invisible, if they do scry up on me, from what I know, they shouldn't see anything then. They should just see invisible air.
Yeah, they'll be very confused, actually, now that you think about it. Just, the lens is flying. Actually, no, they won't see the lens either.
Nope.
Well, it's not just the lens that they can scry on. You wear very ornate, distinctive armor. They could scry on that. They could scry on your shield, your weapons. There are many things that they could scry on. They know who we are, so it would be difficult to non-detect everything about yourself.
That's a good point. So there's really no point in doing it, because we're kind of known entities to the enemy at this point, so...
Then the plan is sound. And I'm willing to take the risk so long as it's only going to be a moment.
All right. Let's lock that in. That plan.
When you arrive, tell Donovan to begin preparing fortifications. The Eladrin are likely to come right after.
My
I
what's
guess
so
my
gone.
name?
as soon as Soul casts Fly on Breton, I'll make him
Okay.
invisible.
So,
Cast fly on him.
okay, you've got it.
That's
Okay,
fine.
flies on Breton. Breton goes invisible. Breton,
God's speed.
you may
Good
fly.
luck.
Then
Fly, you fools.
No, I was thinking the same thing.
the awkwardness of this is Brighton is going to. And for clarification, was there also a fly cast into the ring
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
attuned to?
yes.
Into the glove,
the-
yes.
Okay, so I have a way. So I have a way to come back very quickly. Okay, good.
You have 10 minutes of
No,
flight
you
before that
you
runs out.
need yeah.
You're going one way.
Yes.
It's 15 minutes there, and you've got 5
You've
minutes
got-
of fly
you've got-
extra.
Yeah, you've got
Right.
10 minutes to fly, so you've got an extra fly to get you the whole way.
I actually think I might be able to do better than that.
If you're going to
I-
Donovan's.
I hate to ask this question, but once he casts fly the second time, won't that negate his invisibility?
It will.
Yeah.
But he'll be most of the way there. This is the best plan we currently have.
Or,
Okay, but-
or, you know, cool sorcerer stuff. What if, and hear me out, I cast fly extended?
Then
last
he
20 minutes.
it will last 20 minutes. He doesn't need the spell storing glove. He doesn't need to attune to it, and this should have been raised about 10-15 minutes ago.
Ability.
I
could
could,
also
I could
mean
have
that he
walked
would be able
it
to
in the
return.
ethereal plane.
Yeah,
too.
or he keeps the glove and he can make it most of the way back.
All the way, 20 minutes. So that would be 15 and then 5 plus 10.
Yeah,
Also,
but he's got to land, put the glass down somewhere safe. You know, that's
Didn't
Or while he's going, we get in the sewer and we just
Yeah, we're going now.
Okay.
Yeah, so he doesn't need to come back at all.
Okay.
Let's go.
So Breton goes. Breton.
Yeah. All there is to do is direct trip back to Pinatucci's.
You're going to Pinatucci's. Okay.
Are we doing the greater fly or extended fly, or are you taking the glove? Just so I'm aware.
The
Both.
glove's there in case.
If I have the glove, I can come back.
But we'll be in the sewers by the time you get back.
Yeah, we're leaving.
Why don't you just wait for us?
Okay. Then Breton will tell his horse, whose name I have written down, but has been a couple of sessions since it's been brought up. Solvaril. He will just tell it, I want you to stay next to Sol. Keep her safe. Keep me informed of everything going on. You'll catch up soon.
You hear the horse respond to you in your head. don't you?
Yes, the horse can communicate with me telepathically.
Your will be done, master. I will guard the fair maiden with my life.
Just swing swords. What the fuck am I doing in this part? Kind of vampire.
You're really good at swinging swords, though.
Somebody that can walk into another plane.
I just think I felt with Zep around. Like I'm gonna be this really cool support sorcerer, and I'm gonna have enchantments. Chef, no, artificer. I just do it.
Telepathic horse. Fucking.
This is my horse. My horse is
Wait
amazing.
till I get 4th level spell slots and it just gets better.
I have grown wings,
will-
master.
Breton will he will reluctantly take off out of
Okay.
the fort and head towards Fort Pinatucci so we can organize the landing of the Dawnspire. Or not the Dawnspire. That's a different campaign. The airship.
Skyfire. Yeah, sure. Right, no worries.
I feel like
As you fly,
Solid Snake and
give me a
Slug.
perception check.
Give you a perception check. I
You-
know what perception's like.
You can give me a perception check, yeah.
24.
Yeah, I'm good at that perception.
I'm not bad at perception.
I see everything.
Okay. You look out and you see where you look, just out of instinct. You're not someone who ever holds their back to the enemy for very long. You look over out of North Island. And you do, as you gain this height, over the early morning sun, as it rises in the west and sort of highlights, like the light, like skipping along the ocean. It's kind of a calm day. It's a little overcast in certain aspects, but it's enough that right now with the elevation, the sun just like skips across the Bay of Gold and gives it its golden shimmer that gives it its name, you see probably about 20 ships docked out of the island, probably a way out, because as you also recall when you were told about how the Eladrin seem to dock their fleet now, because they were attacked in port on the island multiple times, they now more outside in the natural bay between North Island and Sea Dragon Island, the most northern of the archipelago. You see two of these larger ships, that one of which you assume is the flagship, but you also see the previously seen darker vessel closer to one of these larger ships, which with your knowledge makes you think that's the commander's ship. The one next to it must be the flagship, and you get a good view of that from where you are. You also see probably 2 blocks of what seems to be freshly knocked down houses, smoldering and burning in part of the North Island as well. It's fresh damage, and there's a large group of troop movements that it's even visible from where you are in the air. But luckily, you're not seen, and you begin your true flight towards Fort Pinatucci, which you make safely. The rest of you, are you entering the sewer with a guide?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are telling Roland that we are leaving.
Okay. Roland gives you a nod and says, like I said, anything I can do to help. And, and then he also shoves a bag of gold towards Willoughby. That's your payment for the previous work you've done for me. As promised.
Well, very well. It was a pleasure doing business with you, I guess we could say. But I feel like it was more than that. It was a pleasure to work with you, my friend.
He nods. And, yeah. Are you...
Can I insight check the whole encounter between Willoughby
Sure.
and Roland? I want to see what sort of business they have here.
Okay.
Is it sketchy or is it above board?
You're in Retbury.
Sketchier
Context.
than regular Retbury shit.
It's better than regular Retbury shit. You don't even need to insight that. Roland's kind of a... He deals with shit, but, he doesn't, like... It's probably a good thing if it's coming from Roland.
He's just a sketch kind of guy.
But, Aaron, again, offers...
Oh, our boy.
Offers to show you back. And without much issue, give me a survival check. Just a group
Can I
one.
cast Pass Without a Trace on us as well, so
Sure,
we can
absolutely.
try to sneaky through it? All right, mark that off, so you guys all get a +10.
Go.
And just a
Are
regular
we
old
rolling survival? Is that all of us, or just...
Yeah, was that everybody rolls survival or just
Yes. Everybody this time.
God.
one? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
This is a group check because the stakes are higher in the underground right now.
I have
Nat
been
20
working on my
minus 1. Let's go.
cartography as well. Does that affect things?
I'll let you roll at advantage.
A lot of threes.
Three.
in Survival.
I mean, I have I have 2 maps of Retbury.
That is a dirty 20.
Dirty 20 for...
Brilliant idea
versus
for those
my
of you.
20 minus 1.
Okay.
It's a brilliant idea for those of you who wanted to go and save Gourd, because if you all get captured, I have to come and save you.
Because you have soul with you now. the plan. This is the plan.
It's a good job you chose a strong character so you could carry us in multiple ways.
But with the help of Erin and the added bonus of Pass Without a Trace, you eventually reach the Under Inn, in which you entered near Fort Penatucci's before, with the way that you head to hit Mushroom Jack, and you finally get back to this, now even crowded in the daytime, underground tavern on the South Island without issue. And we're going to go ahead and take our midpoint break here. So we'll see you in 5 to 10 minutes time, where we will try and land a skyship near the island, or something, perhaps. Use this time, grab yourself a drink, and we will see you in a moment. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second half of our broadcast. We left off with the party regrouping at Fort Penatucci. So
we're getting a food tray, right?
you may all sit
That's
down
all
with
there
food,
is.
with food trays.
So all there is to do
Fine,
now
go.
is wait 7.5 hours.
What food trays do you all usually get here?
I don't.
Not
Essel just
blood.
goes into her bag and gets her own food because it's better, and superior, and temporary hit points.
And it now says as well, actually there's like a sign that says, try our new share and tear garlic baldo.
Garlic knots.
My,
wa-
those sound quite interesting.
As he reads it, I watch his face for any indication of
Does anybody
disgust.
want to split a tray of those or a plate? Whatever they
I'll
serve.
split a tray with you, but
Sure.
extra garlic. Like, I want so much garlic on that thing, I want it to burn me.
What?
Heartburn, you know?
I give a side eye to Siraj, going,
Seth leaves the room and goes out and starts working on fortifications.
Oh, of the fort? You're fortifying the fort more?
Yes.
Okay. How are you fortifying? Like, what are you doing? 'Cause-
Checking sight lines, checking range markers, that type of thing.
Sure. They've still got that little mini ballista, that mini catapult, and they've still got the range markers there that they've hidden out in the road. But like, if you remember, it's just like barricade, and then a gap. There's no like gate or anything. And it's one long street, and yeah.
Yeah, improving sight lines, firing platforms, that type of thing, probably.
Yeah, you can help clean up the firing platforms, etc.
I do not particularly wish to see Zedaar burning herself.
And yeah, okay, you can grab some food. The share and tear Baldo is like loads and loads of like. Have you ever seen like it's like dough balls, but like where they're together, and it's in like a hedgehog mound, and then there's like garlic butter just dripping through it. So as you tear it, it also covers it more. Kind of one of those things, and it's just like a hedgehog of Baldo.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Midge, but it sounds so American.
So it's weird that it's coming from the Brit. Is that what I'm hearing?
It sounds
Guys.
good. I've never heard
It
of this
sounds
before.
garlic bread balls.
Like monkey bread, but garlic monkey bread.
I'll find a
Never
find
heard of
an,
monkey bread either, but okay then.
I'll find an image.
It sounds like what a European would think that Americans eat.
Yeah, and it's
No,
5
it doesn't.
cheeseburgers wrapped up in a pizza.
We have
With a slice of freedom.
much worse opinions on that.
Dipped in gasoline for extra flavor. Put gunpowder on it.
So
Gunpowder spring wings is definitely in there.
I'll
Do
find an
you
image.
eat it, James?
yeah, does James eat it?
Yeah, I watch him like a hawk.
By the way, when
He reaches in, he grabs a ball of the breaded dough, whatever it is.
I've sent
he
you an
dips
image
a
in
little extra
Discord
sauce,
so you can see what it's like.
And when he
See this?
Garlic knots.
bites into it, he makes sure like
Ah.
the food is like at his lips before it goes in his mouth, and then he sinks his teeth into it, letting all that juicy, garlicky, buttery, oily crap just drip down the sides of his chin.
Can I
Do
look
you
at
need
his teeth?
healing? I'm pretty sure
You
just
can
burned
give me
yourself.
a
Or see
perception.
his teeth?
You can do a perception versus James's deception.
Okay.
oh, definitely.
Well, I got a 20. Dirty.
I'm also gonna add. I'm gonna do the thing.
You've both beaten him, so you don't need to.
Okay.
You see
Make a
that
point.
he has slightly sharper teeth than a human, but nowhere near as sharp as Gourd's.
Well, I have sharp teeth too.
Exactly.
I wink at Darius, and I, with one claw, like cut my little kitty toe beans so that blood drips out like onto like one of the garlic breads, like not the whole thing, obviously. I'll even take damage if I have to. And like, whoopsies, I'm so clumsy.
This is
And
where
I wanna
Gourd
see if there's
this is where Shane
anything-
reveals he wrote in a flaw for his character that was going to be a struggle with this, and you are forcing his hand, and this character is not going to be around for very long.
Okay. James.
Yeah. What do you
Wisdom
need
save.
to do?
The cat is bleeding on your food.
Whoopsies.
He's a reverse
So clumsy.
vampire.
But give me a
Blood
wisdom
kills
saving throw.
Oh no.
Perfect. I chose to be really good at wisdom on this character.
Too bad.
Yo, he's better at wisdom than Valmyra is, let's be fair.
That's a really low bar.
Bilbo.
So-
Bilbo Kung Eye.
It's the worst bar.
So, I will say you've been around people long enough, and you've been around your affliction long enough that you feel your control wane, and you do have enough time to excuse yourself if you wish.
I would do so.
Mhm.
Lately. Oh. I think that might have been a little bit too much garlic. Excuse me for a moment. And
Wait,
I'll
vampires hate garlic in this world?
walk up and I'll get up and I'll walk out to distance myself.
Okay.
Zaraj,
Zaraj. Just go.
stop fucking with people.
No,
He-
no, no, no. We need to figure out what the hell's going on.
No, we don't.
Was he
We leave all
invited?
alone.
Was he invited into the fort? Was he given permission to enter by someone?
Oh my god.
Yes, this is why he was introduced to your party and given to you. He couldn't enter the room without it. I realized as well.
Does he
He had to
handle all
be.
this running
He did
water?
have to be invited into the room.
the
I did
worst
that
place.
subconsciously.
Very.
And my next question: he is the local healer. How many people has he lost?
He didn't say he was a healer, he's an alchemist.
Oh,
Tends to be a healer.
Not always.
well.
I don't see what your problem is. Your man's got glowing eyes. So do I. Who cares?
Oh,
Yes,
you.
but you have an excuse.
What if
He might
does?
have an excuse.
But so James, once you
Not
get
yet,
some
he
air,
doesn't.
you get out of the room. The blood is no longer in front of you. You do regain control.
I eat the bloody garlic knot. Also, just pointing out.
Yeah,
I'm like,
sure.
I don't want to waste that.
All right, that's disgusting.
It's my blood.
But what are you all doing? You also, James, you actually see Zep just up on the battlements, like building a new platform for people to shoot from.
I would watch intriguingly, and then after a time of kind of recentering myself, I would go and join him.
Back inside.
See if he needs
Oh,
no,
no,
go and
join
join
Zep.
See if he needs any help.
Okay.
Red Eyes, could you pass me that sword down there? I needed to cut some of this off.
Yes. Which one specifically? Just this one? Yeah.
Yeah, that will do. Thank you.
Any specific type of modifications you're trying to make? Yeah.
Just trying to repair things and stay away from the cat.
I thought that it might have been a little bit of my presence that gave you a little bit of distance.
Strangely, no. I know that you worked with Roland Grimm, and I believe him to be an astute judge of character.
Well, I'm glad to see that there's other men of logic here, and people who decide to use their wits and science about them, instead of just emotionally driven.
So you're also a man of science and reason.
Of a sort, yes. Not particularly the same type as you are. I mean, I imagine. I deal with more the organic side of things.
Yeah, I studied that for a while as well, but it was never really my forte.
It takes a little bit of a knack, I'd say. But I do appreciate machinations, especially ones that create explosions and various means, such as firearms, let's say.
They are certainly a piece of technology.
I'd agree. They're definitely a piece of technology. Depends on who's holding them, whether it's good or bad, correct?
Yeah, and who it is being pointed at.
And what is behind their target as well.
Indeed, you must always be careful of the collateral damage that can occur if your judgment should slip.
But don't you think that sometimes mistakes are made, and in the spur of the moment, you might not always see what is behind your target?
Of course,
Only seeing your intended goal.
mistakes can always be forgiven. It is when things are done purposefully that is harder.
I guess I can understand that. Any other tools you need?
If you wouldn't mind just stabilizing that plank for just a moment.
Absolutely.
You have the advantage of reach.
And I'll continue to help Zep.
Okay. The rest of you. You eat your food trays. Is there anything you'd like to do for the rest of the time while you wait for the skyship to be closer, or?
And did the glove come in handy? Did you end up needing it?
You did not have to use it.
That's good. I forgot completely that if you actually had to use it, then you would no longer be invisible, which slipped my mind, and apologize for that.
It worked out fine.
Could I maybe have the glove back? It's
It is
very...
your glove. You may take it back.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I assume Soul is, like, with you, like, always.
They're never far
Nearby.
from each other. Yeah.
Soul, I was wondering if you would do me a kindness and also put a spell in my glove. That spell that you used during the battle, Shield, would you be willing to cast one into the glove?
You will have to get rid of the fly spell that's already within it.
There's 5 slots and fly's only taking up 3.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Sure.
She looks kind of just upset about something, but she will cast shield.
Are you okay?
No, I am not okay.
Is there anything I can do to help?
Not unless you can stop all war.
Unfortunately, that's not one of my abilities.
If it were, you'd be a better man than I.
Or it's just one of those things that happens, the natural order of humanoids, it seems.
Some would consider it a horrible necessity.
Excuse me.
And she's gonna get up and go find Zaraj.
Okay. You find Zara, she's eating.
Mr. Raj, may I bother you for a moment?
Oh, not a bother, please sit, Sol.
Alone?
We can go out the... We'll find someone.
Trying to find the words without expressing Ruby's anger. When We are at war. Fighting for our lives and trying to save as many people as we can. It becomes hard to tell when an action is good or not. One person would ask, what is the difference between me casting a fireball on a building and blowing it up and killing those inside versus lighting the building on fire and killing those inside? And I believe that is what your confusion lies on, yes?
Yes, but for you, you cast a spell because this is your power. For me, I am a tracker, a hunter, a trapper, a person who...
No, that's not it, Zaraj. Everything we do invokes a cost. And whether that cost is material, a spell component, or immaterial, it's there. And when you do things like that, the cost is on your soul. And it may not become apparent now or in a year from now. But the more you do these things, the more you find cause to justify that kind of action. One day you're going to wake up and find that you're not the person you thought you were. Or worse, that this is the person you always were, and you were holding yourself back. So I implore you to think then of what type of person you want to be. Do you want to be the type of person that will win at any cost? To act impulsively? And then get disintegrated? As Ruby did? Or are you going to be better?
Well, it would be hard for me to be better than Ruby, but I hear the logic in what you are saying. I am so used to working alone and doing things my way by myself my entire life that perhaps I am not thinking of myself as part of a team and thinking of the team. Perhaps I should try to consider we are all in this together as opposed to Zaraj by herself.
We are your family. And if you think that is how it is to be, then perhaps you should apologize to Zep first. He may not want to hear it. He may even tell you to go away. But he will hear it.
I have a question. Maybe in Ruby's diary, you might have read something about this, but he has a great aversion to fire. Have I stumbled upon something from his past that is terrible for him?
It is not not my place to answer.
Well,
But I would wager that there is a reason for it.
I appreciate that you are talking to me. I know everyone is very upset with me. I did in the moment what I thought was best, and now that we have lost Gourd, I realize now that I put everything at risk, and Gourd is the one who is paying the price for it, and I do not wish any of us to be hurt again.
Then, as Ruby would say, choose to be better. And she will leave.
I think Siraj will stay and ponder that quite some time.
Sure. Hey. Darius.
Yeah. So Darius just slowly becomes the only one at the table as attrition happens. Now this big plate of garlic knots that he wasn't really too keen on to begin with.
Me and Bretton are still there.
No, Soul's coming. Soul does come back, and she is gonna write down that recipe.
About 20 minutes
'cause
later, your
everybody
sister
loves
turns
that.
up as well.
Oh shit, that was about what I was going to be doing. That was the whole thing I was going to do. But all right, I guess it just happens then.
Oh, but someone let her know that you guys were back, and she was like, "So, how'd it go?"
We'll talk about it.
Stop.
Where's the Leonin? Right. Okay. So, Chip, is there anything else you'd like to do?
No, that was going to be a whole thing, but I guess it just...
Oh, you were... Okay.
Yeah, it was going to be a like of... It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Okay. Sorry, I was just bringing her back, lest that you guys forgot she was on the island.
No, it's fine.
Okay. So, you all go about just waiting for the ship to arrive. Some of you finding idle tasks to get on with, others sitting with your thoughts and waiting. And your high-paced, high-intensity relationship you all have with life slows sharply, and the hours wind on. But eventually, you hear that we are about an hour out. We have eyes on the island. Where will we be meeting you?
So this is one thing that we never actually clarified, Mitch.
Yep.
With this ability, is this at will, so I can keep on talking to Marcus, or is it once per day like ascending?
I think this is like at will, but the messages are the length of ascending. So you kind of have to take it in turns on that sort of shortwave radio.
Okay,
essentially.
Cool. How familiar are you with Threadberry?
I'm fairly,
Oh, was that Marcus or?
I mean, he doesn't know I'm talking to Marcus, probably.
It's like when you're talking to someone and they have their Bluetooth on.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, were you not talking to me?
Oh, forgive me. No, I was speaking to our airship. It is on the way here to pick us up.
Well, that's quite an interesting, marvelous machine. I can't wait to see it.
You should do, in about an hour.
Is that close?
My name is Zep, by the way.
Ah, pleasure to meet you. James Willoughby.
James. Pleasure.
Yes, I believe some of the rest of the party calling me Willoughby. I don't prefer either. I mean, it's whatever you decide.
Which do you prefer?
Either or. If you want to call me James, you can call me James. If you want to call me Willoughby, you can call me Willoughby. There's only a few things that I don't like to be called, but I doubt any of you would know those words.
James it is. Yeah.
Yes, we are. I know. I know it relatively well. I've been there a couple of times. There's a really nice in on and he just goes on to talking about this one time he was at Repri and got very drunk.
So, with my knowledge of cartography and talking to a skilled cartographer, could I give him instructions of where we are?
Easily, yeah. If you want him to try and hover above, I don't know if there's enough area in Fort Penatucci to land.
What about Donovan's mother's?
Outside Donovan's mother's would be easier because it's an open square.
Then let's arrange that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can know it.
If not, ask the crew. I am sure someone there will.
Connotations of that. Okay. So they'll meet you at Donovan's.
Mm-hmm.
Is there
And
anything?
then I will go back to the party and say, Marcus and the Skyfire are 1 hour out. They will be landing at Donovan's mother's residence.
Okay.
Great.
No?
Excellent.
Will it take us an hour to get back to Donovan's mother's house from the fort?
About 10 minutes.
Okay.
Well, we should probably let her know so nobody freaks out.
This is true.
I'd be kind of freaked out if a helicopter landed in my backyard, just saying.
An alien spaceship. Perhaps you guys go ahead and warn her. I have something I should do here first, and I'd like to catch up with you in just a few minutes.
Walk away, the entire fort's on fire.
Okay. Zaraj, what would you like to do?
I would like to see if I can find a spyglass.
Okay.
It's a fort. People are watching war.
Sure.
Some sort of telescopic or just spyglass.
You guys did get one. A giant one at that, but you got one. You stole one from the gun. Just as a reminder, but you can look. Give me.
I don't know if I know that we stole that though.
Give me an investigation.
Brett ran right by you while he was carrying it.
Breton, you saw.
Well, I thought you had just like a lens, not like
no,
a...
Valmir had the lens.
No, Valmir had the lens. I stole the double spyglass, the spotter's lens.
Basically a telescope.
It's basically a telescope.
Man, I'm just...
Nat 20, 25.
You're looking around this barricade-made fort out of a restaurant, and it's very clear that no one has a spyglass.
I don't know what else Zep wants as a present, so I'll just meet them at the house.
Okay.
You only just got that? It was obvious.
I will say you could steal someone's glasses.
Knowledge needs to fit the crime, so go find a bucket of water.
No.
Ruby's
That's all right.
words echo in your head. Be better.
Yeah, well, I was actually gonna. It's okay, it doesn't matter. I didn't find it. I was gonna attempt to purchase it
Right, I see.
instead of steal it. That
Yeah,
was.
nobody here has a spyglass, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's okay.
But you eventually get to the Donovan's residence. Is there any last things you would like to do before you get on board the skyship?
I want to tell her all about my cool mage trap that I made with her harness and her gag ball.
Oh, so I won't be getting that back.
No, I will pay you for this though, and I will give her 45 gold pieces.
Oh, yeah, that'll be enough, dear. Sorry you lost it, but I can replace it with this. Thank you very much.
Hope I didn't make you too tied up in your business.
It's fine. Mother knows best.
No, please.
Psychic damage, psychic damage.
You just hear someone in
Emotional
the background go,
Oh, my 3 o'clock. Sorry.
I love that song.
No, but eventually the skyship lands. It does scrape one of the buildings ever so slightly on its way down, but it's only superficial paintwork damage. But you
Leave
may,
a note.
you may all get on board.
There is a convenient spot in the cargo bay where a animal about the size of a four-legged beast of burden can wait. So Brenton's horse is comfortable.
Yes. And it has the beautiful outlook of an open field and skyscape with bright
Yes.
golden sun painted onto it. So, Willoughby, this is the first time you've seen a skyship. Oh, this skyship, or a skyship of this style anyway. But you are let on board.
Is he invited?
I don't know, do you invite him? I think he did just step on when you guys did, but...
welcome to the Skyfire, Willoughby.
Well, I'll be darned.
It's a pleasure to be here. This is a modern marvel, if I must say.
It has taken a great deal of work and a great deal of skills from many people to create this, but it is what we call home for the time being.
Isn't that the beauty of it?
A home
Came
that
together
follows
to
you.
build this. It's amazing. Are there specific rooms, or should I just grab a seat on the deck?
There are several cabins on the main quarter cabin deck thing, which I would definitely know the name of.
Yeah,
Yes, that one.
there,
Very well.
there are many guest cabins, so there is enough room for Willoughby for sure.
Do you mind if I shack up in one of them?
It is your berth for as long as you need it. We never did actually ask, where are you trying to get to from here? I just got the impression you're trying to get off the island.
Oh, well, more or less coming along for the ride for some fun, I guess.
And do you know what it is that we are trying to do?
Not entirely, but I imagine that we can speak about it at dinner, perhaps?
In time.
That way I can kind of know more or less where your directions lie as a group. So I may aid you in the best possible way.
Any assistance would be appreciated.
I'd be happy to help anywhere I can.
Well, if you head up those stairs, I believe the cabins on the left are mostly free. Open the doors until you find one that looks empty.
I'll be
I
sure
do
to
believe
knock
that
first.
Soul and Breton now have a new room.
Correct.
Yeah, you're on
Or
top
Soul
deck.
has a new room at top deck that Soul could be in and Breton could stand out guard without, getting scoliosis or whatever leaning over thing.
Very true. So,
Dinner.
Dinners
And I
and
will-
spells.
I'll go in search of Marcus and get a report on how things have been.
Sure.
We don't need to fill that in now.
oh, no worries. You do so. Also lets you know when, yeah, just it gives you the information. It's all good, pretty much. He also notes that there's been a few rumors as he ported at various of the trade towns along the Rhiannon coast of various members of the Reynard Company looking for a skyship. Luckily, they did not come into contact with any of them.
That is good to know. We should relay this to Darius.
Okay. So, you have time to plan and to discuss. Zep, are you going to are you going to discuss with the group, or are you going to have a more accurate stint of research into the lenses and the gun now that you have access to your workshop?
Actually, I will go in search of Zarash, I think.
Oh, okay. You can definitely do so.
When you find me, I'm in my room and I've turned like a post. I've like wrapped rope around it and it's like a scratching post. And I'm like anxiously like nervous scratching it.
You just hear a soft knock on the door.
Hello?
Zarash, we should talk.
Yes, please come in. And I open the door.
Zep will walk in and then look almost nervous as he's kind of standing at the threshold, just looking at Zarash.
So, before you say anything, Zep, I must apologize. I know that I have put the party in grave danger, and it is 100% my responsibility. Gourd is now missing because of me. And I spoke to Sol about not just thinking about myself anymore and being this lone ranger, but as being a part of the party. And I'm sorry that I did not stick to the plan. And I'm sorry that I acted impulsively. I know that this put us all in danger. And I'm very grateful for you welcoming me into your family and onto your ship.
Thank you for that. And I'll walk over and just kind of settle down beside the scratching post and idly scratch it with a fingernail myself.
Is it well made for Zep standards?
Well enough. It serves its purpose. It's functional. I have a bit of history when it comes to that. And while, yes, at first I was very angry with you, I realized that perhaps you do not know yet the cost of consequences of your actions. I served as a soldier. I have seen wars before. They are not a pleasant thing. I've seen killing, I have killed. I've seen death many times. Too many times. But there's one thing in particular that haunts me. Gives me nightmares still. I served aboard the airship the Unamodlich. It was one of the first equipped with firebombs. And we were ordered to attack what we were told was a strategic target in the Rian, during the Second Rian war between us and them. We had our orders. We followed them. We dropped our bombs on what we thought was a military target. And then we were shot down. And being shot down was the worst and possibly best thing that has happened to me. It is a strange thing to say because I nearly died. Braun nearly died. But it allowed me to see what we had done. It was not a military target. It was not a camp we had just bombed with fire from the sky where they could not hit us back. But it was just a town with innocent people, townsfolk, living their lives. We burned it all. They could not escape it. We struck from the skies without warning, without purpose. And then Braun and I, we had to make our way back through this burning ruin. We could hear the screams with every step that we took. The smell of fire and burning was strong in the air. And there's nothing worse than the smell of burning people. That still haunts me. That is something I would not want on anyone. Neither for those to be burned or to carry the scars of having done the burning. This is why I'm so angry. You are a good person, Zarash, otherwise we would not be traveling with you at all. I bear my own scars, I bear my own memories, and I wish to spare others of this. What we did was a war crime. I am a war criminal. Had we not won this war, I would probably be in jail if not executed, rightfully so. But we did win. I still remember what happened. I left the military. I promised never again to use such weapons, and I never have. It is now my purpose to make sure that others do not either. So I have made this for you. I'm going to hand over a small metal device with a little flick, a little button on it. If you press the button, a flame springs out. Hold your paw over it. Whenever you think of doing something you think may be irresponsible, feel the heat, feel the pain, and let it remind you of this discussion. And the screams that I hope you never have to hear. You are impulsive, chaotic even, some would say. And that is your strength. It is not something I would wish to remove or see impeded. You just must think of the consequences for that which you do. Make sure it is in service of a greater purpose. A better purpose. That is all I came to say.
Thank you, Sep. I will make sure to do this. I'm sorry for what you have gone through. I know that must have been very difficult, and for me to unknowingly unleash that exact same thing upon others probably brought back a lot of that. I'm not as clever as you, and I was looking for a creative way to end our combat very quickly. But you are right, my strengths do not rely on brute force or fire. I'm not Ruby, or I'm not you with the inventing things. I am sneaky. I am the knight. I come and go quickly, and that is what I should focus on.
Precisely. You know your strengths, and you're very good at what you do. You must simply temper it with a thought of what comes after.
Do you think we will be able to fix the spell cannon with what we have now?
I can certainly try. I have many shards of the other lenses. I need to spend some time working out what it is they are made of and see if I can recreate this. In any event, I can make a cannon of some kind, even if it is not quite as powerful as the original.
Well, if you need me to procure any items, I would gladly go look for them for you.
I appreciate that, Zarash. Thank you. I should go back to finding it, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for believing in me And if you do not forgive me, I hope one day that you will be able to. And I hug
Not
him.
yet. Not yet, but show me you're on the right path.
You guys will
One
probably
more
start smelling cooking from downstairs.
unrelated question. Are there small air ducts between the rooms that perhaps I could wriggle into and just meander about in the walls?
There probably aren't vents per se, although one thing the ship does have, and I don't know if you'd be too big for them, but it does have the communications tubes running through it.
Yeah, bit
Cats
too
are-
big for the comms
Yeah.
tube.
I
'Cause
worry about our new friend, James.
How so?
Do you think he is a good person?
I do not know. He came recommended by Roland, and Roland is a good judge of character. So for this, I would give him the benefit of the doubt and see what he does.
Okay. Well, I noticed that we scraped the ship on the way down. Would you like me to repaint the scratch?
It would be a good start, but make sure you tie yourself in securely when you do.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Zep will leave.
Did Soul say that food was ready?
Yeah, downstairs, you guys are gonna start smelling. Smells like spiced venison.
Well, Zep's going to go in search of the smells.
Yeah.
Okay.
Josh is also hungry.
Okay. So, those who wish to can slowly make their way to dinner.
There is pie. There is venison steak. There is a side vegetable of spiced potatoes and vegetables. A hearty meal
What kind
by
of
all
pie are we
accounts.
talking here?
Heartland's rose and blackberry pie.
That's a dessert then. Start with the venison.
Yes. I forget that you people do other types of pies. It is not a meat pie.
Meat pie's great though. Steak.
No,
meat
I'm
pie.
not saying it is. It just
Start with venison. I'll have some pie for dessert.
okay.
Does James come eat dinner?
Obsessed.
Yes. If he hears any sort of dinner bell or calling to dinner or is
6
invited
bells.
personally,
Yeah. Ruby serves dinner at 6 bells on the dot.
well, he'll recognize that sound and be there.
You could probably get the smell of food, to be fair, as well, from where you are.
All right. Now
So
comes the what next? Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I was just gonna walk in and as if I was smelling the food. Carry on.
So, while you're sitting down to eat, I'm gonna play with my little necklace that I have and cast Detect Thoughts on you, like, as you're trying to eat this food. It's a, save,
It's only if you go deeper. Service thoughts or otherwise.
spend one charge.
Surface thoughts you get for free.
Oh, okay. So, surface thoughts. What are your surface thoughts about this food?
This smells very delicious. I wonder who the cook is. I must thank them for preparing such a delicious smelling meal.
Okay, I'm gonna probe
Soul will probably walk out with a chef's apron on.
deeper, and it's a, Wiz save DC 13.
I think he thinks you're a poser.
Natural
Mm.
20.
Delicious, isn't it? And I just like eat the steak like a animal until
I
Soul
think
walks in, and then
by
I
the nature of
cut
that
it
spell
correctly.
as well, Willoughby, you do realize that Zedaar has just cast. Just try to read your mind.
I'll ignore it.
Okay,
I also pretend like nothing happened and then cut my steak like
sure.
vehemently.
It does indeed smell delicious, doesn't it? I haven't
Yes, I
quite taken a bite out of it yet, though.
bet you would like to.
I mean, it's normally how one eats, yes.
You've never clearly tried the ice cream that Soul makes. You don't bite that, you just go the way, unless you're a monster.
What is that? I must try this next time it is available, please.
Maybe. Not up to me.
Breton, are you doing anything in particular?
No, Breton has been fairly quiet ever since Soul took a brief moment to be alone. He's probably just been sitting in the kitchen, lost in thought.
Cool.
Can you remind me of your horse's name again?
Solvaril.
Solvaril, thank you.
So, you have some plans to discuss. Are you handling them at dinner?
Seems as good a time as any to handle this. We are in a more secure position. Now is left to decide how we are going to get this out of here.
Fly away. Back to Nautical.
While I was flying over, I did see that the main command ship was meeting with the ship of the garrison forces, so they are in communication about what has happened. So presumably, the sooner that we do this, the better, because the longer we tarry, the more they're going to take up arms about, I suppose, ensuring that what we did does not come back to bite them. We should expect some resistance in the effect of this.
Not leaving without Gourd.
Well, I think we should take the ship out of the city now until we have the spell cannon prepared so that we cannot be attacked until we are ready. We must have some allies or something we can ask to join us.
Presumably, we will. If we go back to Nautical, we will be able to collect reinforcements for this, but it's be a hard time justifying many people to rescue one. I've read that in a novel. That does not usually go well for the group going after to rescue somebody.
Conversely, there is a very risky but potential plan we can enact with this. It is safe to assume, at least I'm going to believe it is safe to assume, that they are aware of who we are, that we are associated with the Skyfire Co., and that we are the ones who took the shield. The second that the Skyfire starts to make south to rejoin with Nautical, they are going to assume that we are in flight. And I would hope that that would mean that their defenses are lessened, which could make for an opening.
It could also mean that they think that we are unwilling to treat with them in order to rescue our friend, or that we have abandoned him, and if they have no use for him, they will try him for treason, as we've heard that they believe he is, and they will hang him.
Well, that's just something we'll have to keep an ear out, because if that's true, then we may find that it is more imperative to act sooner than later, obviously. have my doubts if that they would execute him. After all, at one point he was a emissary for them, was he not? I believe I do remember that being mentioned.
Yes.
A disposable one. But I do not think. Go ahead.
A disposable one. If I have my suspicions about the Eladrin, for a figure like this that failed in doing what he was supposed to be doing, making a public image of him would be something they would quite be fond of.
Well, he didn't fail. His task was to deliver a message to the Duke of Lakegangsland, and he did that.
But he's also a traitor to them.
But if they were to make a example of him, would they do it here in their blockade of Redberry, or would they bring him back to the capital of the Eladrin to put on a public display there?
Redberry.
Nice.
They're trying to subdue the island. A good way of subduing a populace is to show them what happens if you don't submit.
Yes.
Do we
but
have any?
The populace here also knows that they just got attacked by a group of vagabonds, essentially, and were essentially toppled. Right? And only one of you got caught. I don't know how much of a example it would be to just kill him in front of everybody here. These people are already rebellious. It will only make them rebel more, thinking that they have a shot.
Also, Valmir, from your own knowledge, you'd know that actually the Eladrin aren't big on public executions.
But I also think they're all dickheads.
Well, do we have any of those documents, Zep? Do any of them have an Eladrin government seal or a royal seal? I don't know much about geography and politics. I did not go to school, but would there be some sort of official document that I may be able to forge?
It is possible, but I'm trying to remember what it was that we got from them. Because yeah, we got the.
I mean,
I
you
don't think Zep has it. I think.
It was the declaration of war.
You've got the declaration. You don't have it, but you've seen the declaration of war.
And we've also seen the soldiers' post documentation,
Yes.
which I think.
I could write a letter that says that they would like this traitor back, perhaps in the capital or something, and we can catch Gourd in transit. I don't know. I'm formulating an idea, but maybe to separate him from the flotilla so that they don't kill him immediately in Redberry.
It's actually not a bad one. Separate him away, say that he must leave at once on their fastest ship, and that ship will go alone, probably. And we have the means now to watch them from afar.
That you do.
That might work.
Can we paint the ship blue so it blends in with the sky? Would it stand
We
out
don't have
less?
stealth mode. God, Zep.
Would it stand out less than a big brown dot in the sky?
Only at sunset.
Probably. The one to ask would be Braun.
I mean, even at night.
It would be more efficient to paint it a faint shade of gray. It would appear as a cloud, even during later hours.
And then we could put little floofy cotton balls on the edges to really make it.
I knew someone. I knew it was you. You were gonna do that.
Everybody just gets a Pritt stick and some cotton wool and just.
No,
Yeah,
Timmy,
inexplicably, on one of the pieces of cotton, there's just a little googly eye.
You say that like there's some googly eyes all over this ship already.
If we have the paint for it, yeah, it is probably possible.
I'd say you'd need to go buy paint, but it's definitely doable.
Well, if we have a document with official seals or something that I can copy, perhaps someone with a little bit more knowledge of court proceedings or military paperwork or something can help me. I don't know what to write, I just know how to copy the handwriting and the seals. Words are hard.
That would probably fall on your shoulders, Valmir.
I shall do my best. I got pretty decent handwriting.
Well, I'll do the handwriting, you just have to tell me the words. Because I have the
Oh.
forgery kit. But if Zaraj puts it in her own words, it'll be like, Dear Army, please give Gourd back to bring home for killing traitor, period. But don't send a lot of guards with him, period. So I need like some...
This is definitely not a suspicious message.
Yeah. Don't phone home, don't bother, this is enough.
Excuse me, Mr. Black Marketeer, could you direct me to the black market?
Yeah, I can come up with something like that. That we're gonna need to find the seal, though.
Do we have a example?
Is it on the potential blueprints of the IKEA book for the lenses that you took?
IKEA book for the lenses.
We
Shane.
don't have any-
like a spell cannon scrolls.
How
Shane,
to
I
build
need
spell-
to. Shane, I need to actually check with you.
Okay.
Gourd's official seal for when they were working with the Elandrin.
Yeah.
Would that have been on Gourd? Or on the ship?
Depends on what equipment he would have gone in with. Trying to think. We all kind of went in fairly bare bones with what we needed. Weapon wise and whatnot, right? That was the agreement, I believe. And then, so I might have left some of those things behind. Seeing as it was like a non-essential item. So it's a possible. I would say it's possible that it could be in his room.
Gourd's gone. He's not here. What a great time to go rifling through his belongings.
As is tradition.
When the first man falls, the second man picks up the rifle. You
First
may have
man
had
falls, the
some-
second man picks up the seal.
We can check. He was their messenger. There might be.
So we'll roll a
something there.
luck check to see if there is anything that Gourd had
Yo,
that might
I'm the
help you.
luckiest guy.
I was gonna say I'm gonna give it to Valmir.
Sure.
That's a lucky 13.
Okay. There
I'm gonna
is
roll a luck. I'm gonna use a luck dice.
A luck on the luck. Okay.
That's a lucky 13.
Mhm. You do find an official piece of Elandrin paperwork in with Gourd's stuff. However, if it's the correct seal or has any correct names on it, you're less than certain. But you have an example of what their paperwork kind of looks like. It's all in Elvish.
I read that. It's fine. Can you read Elvish?
No, I can barely read. I did not go to school.
Okay. So if I like write down what needs to be written down, is it possible for Zaraj to copy it?
Possible, it'd be a higher DC.
Pretty good.
I mean, I'm proficient in forgery kit. So like I'm trying to copy handwriting as well as like mimic the style of handwriting used, but with Valmir's words.
Sure. So it'll be a collaborative check to make this. It'll be Zaraj's forgery and Valmir's I'll let you weigh either performance or deception.
It was a good idea, Zaraj. I will cast guidance upon you.
Thank you. So for the forgery kit, what type of roll is that? And can I argue sleight of hand because I'm not actually using my intelligence? I'm just trying to copy.
It would be a sleight of hand dex check with your tool proficiency.
Cool.
All right,
so-
here we go, performing.
And guidance is a D4.
Yes.
That's a 21.
So 12 plus my proficiency is +4, so 16.
Okay.
And Zep was there, so flash of genius.
Okay.
Yo, 21, let's go.
You've got something that reads and looks like an official document. If it's correct, however, that's besides the point. But like, if any layman who didn't know paperwork or didn't know like the exact was to look at this, you think it would suffice. Sorry.
We did write it in Elvish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can read Elvish, don't worry.
I wanted to make sure that we just didn't like, no, this looks amazing. And then we look at it, it's like, guys, we can all read this. Doesn't that seem like that might not be the right decision to make?
Look, if I was going to make a mistake and write it in a different language, my mother tongue would probably be the most one, and that would be undercommon. So, no, yeah.
More legitimately the common.
It would.
Did you
Well,
get all the formalities correct?
Do you know the formalities?
No, but I just understand that usually these certain things based on the culture have a little bit of formalities built into the way it's the
Oh, yeah, it was kind of based on the letter we found in Gourd's room.
Just as a question. with
Okay.
it, is it very,
Idea.
very generic? Or
No,
have you
I'm-
styled it? Like, I'm gonna ask Lambert this.
That's basically what I was getting
Because-
at.
Along the
Is it-
lines of, we've come into the knowledge
there-
that
is
you
there a
have
from and
apprehended
to?
the-
Is what I'm trying to get at. Like, how is it established? Is it a letter? Is it an order? Who is it from? Is it from anyone?
You also do all realize that this just happened yesterday, and a letter might not have made it back and forth with information. You know what I'm saying? They might have not received the information of this individual, your friend, being captured.
They
And you're
say
sending
rumors
now a
travel
letter.
faster than anything, but that's pretty fast even for a
magical
rumor.
sending-y stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the magic. They
I think we're a bit in a rush here. Your friend, Darius, Reynard, correct? They had good counsel earlier that we need to kind of slow down a little bit, maybe. Certain things need to happen first.
Well, we're still just like writing the letter.
we don't have to send it today.
Okay.
We don't
well,
even know
just-
how we're going to send it.
True.
Very well.
Like a paper airplane.
Sure, there's plenty of messengers in this town.
You
be
do
willing
have
to
a
deliver
messenger bag. You do have an Eladrin messenger bag, just as a point.
Dude. I wonder if we could do anything with that.
But yes, Valmir, is it a from and to? Is it an order? Or like, how have you styled it? Because this is up to you. This is what you've written. Are you name dropping? What are you doing?
I'm currently looking at my notes.
You know the spider.
I can't
queen's
think of any
name?
names really that would work. Spider Woman's name, sure, but I don't know who would. If I'm sending it to her, who I would kind of need to put a from, but who would we do it from is the question.
Would it be better from an organization? Because remember, in the Rayen, the ones that we really needed to answer to was the church, not the nobility. Is there something similar for the Eladrin?
How does your mother feel about you?
So I had a pretty good relationship with Mum.
Would it be reasonable that she's looking for any person that could get her information on you?
That actually sounds like something that's already happened, so probably, yeah.
She's keeping tabs on you, and it just so happens that somebody captures a member of the group you've been traveling around with. I imagine she would love to get that information, and people might, and that would be a very reasonable thing to believe.
God damn, that's a good idea.
Very good idea.
The thing that I was writing, I'm scrumpling up, throwing it away, and I'm going to start writing in Undercommon a letter from my mother in as close to her handwriting. Oh, well, yeah, because I'm trying to, like...
Okay. Are you proficient with forgery?
Can he write it and then I copy it to...
No, because you'd just be copying his handwriting.
Would I have any letters from her?
Would Valmir have kept letters from his mother?
You an evening of Valmir and Siraj just over a desk, and Valmir's like doing it. He's like, no, this needs to be more flowy, like this, drawing it with his finger.
So yes,
Me crying at the kitchen
I will
table.
leave that open to Valmir. Do you
also-
think you would have a letter from your mother from when you were kidnapped? Because remember, like,
I was on the run before I was kidnapped, and I was being chased before I was kidnapped.
yes.
So I think there would be... I think there probably would be some level of correspondence between... if not between Valmir and his mother, between Valmir and the people she sent to get me. Oh, between my mother and the people she sent to get me.
Okay. I will say that you have some examples of your mother's handwriting. However, they are not essays.
Yeah.
They are quick notes. So you may try this again.
Okay.
The DC will be different.
It's going to be
And
addressed
Siraj
to...
may help if she has examples
Yeah.
to copy.
It's going to be a letter from my mother, who is called Valaya Kensek, High Matron of Kensek Keep, and it is going to be addressed to Sea Matron Kilmator.
Zep will provide some guidance.
Along the lines of, we have come into information that you have captured a member of the party known as Skyfire Adventuring Company. This party is a known acquaintance of Valmir Kensek. We wish to interrogate this individual. At the earliest convenience, send him to Kensek Keep.
Okay.
We offer like a reward, some sort of trade, collateral, like...
It's a noble asking for a ship captain to give over a prisoner.
But your people aren't in this war, right? Like, they're not directly involved?
They're kind of bannermen to the Eladrin Empire.
Right, and I'm the war criminal, but okay.
Yo.
So think of this like Kensik is one of the Underdark March states of the Eladrin.
Mm-hmm.
We stop the Gribblies coming from the Underdark into the Overdark.
Okay, so are we just doing the same roles? I'll do the sleight of hand. And Valmir put the...
It will be a higher...
I'm using the luck on that.
Oh. Maybe you were maybe a little too cavalier tearing up that first letter.
Did you say I had guidance?
Yeah, 1d4.
So yeah, that's 15.
Added together with Zedaar is 6.
Nat 1.
Okay.
If she's rolled a
Do I
nat
get
one, can I
guidance
see
as-
that it's shit and tell her to redo it? Is that possible? Because
Can
So,
I give my inspiration if necessary?
considering Valmy, you can read Undercommon, and you know this is going to someone with Undercommon, you're like, this, you're looking at it, and it's like, it's Undercommon, it's Undercommon, it's Undercommon, it's Wingdings, it's Undercommon, it's Undercommon,
When
yeah.
your parents sign your report card and it says like signed Chibley's mom because you don't know your parents' signature.
It's kind of that, but it's more the fact of like you've like smudged some letters together so they're just shapes and things. It's
Can I give him my inspiration?
We can try again tomorrow. We don't need to send the letter out today. Perhaps I am tired. I have a lot going on.
sure.
May I study these letters?
she can't read.
I don't know what it
Sure.
says. I'm trying to
That-
study the penmanship.
Okay, and sure. That seems scary. Sure, yeah, okay.
Zedaar cast comprehend languages.
Yeah, I'll retire to my room with the letters and I'll just, if Zep will allow me to have extra papers and stuff to just practice the pen strokes and the, whatever's.
We got loads of writing materials on board.
So, is there anything else you guys like to discuss or do?
I'm guessing I spent a fair chunk of time with those guys, but once they give up, then I would go and start looking at what the lenses are made out of.
Sure.
And
could
if
do
I
that.
recall, how many scraps did I bring? I got 11 salvaged gun parts, so I'd like to use 1 or 2 of those to work out what it's made out of.
Sure. So you assemble all of your captured gun parts in front of it, and you've got various like brackets and some of the frames where some of the glasses, like the lenses, have been shattered out of, and you notice that there seems to be like spell inscriptions on some of the like lens holders as well. This is both. It seems to be that the wording on this is like not only to seal the lenses into place, but it's for. Just give me a quick Arcana check or Artifice Lore check on this.
That is a 26.
Yeah, this seems to be like.
Oh, hang on. No, it's not. That is a 30.
A 13 for you is a 30 now?
Yeah, because I get guidance as well.
Wild.
The D4
Why?
plus 4.
Why are we even here?
Yeah, plus 4. It rolled a 4. It didn't go on the table apparently, but it was a 4.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope, that's cool. Okay. So it's like arcane code that is not only securing the lenses into the lens holders, but also modifying the spell every time it passes through. So imagine holding light through multiple magnifying glasses. The code on the lens not only bends the magic that weaves through, but enhances it. So if this was to be multiple magnifying glasses, like lined up, spell going through it, these magical codes on the rings would act like colored filter paper.
Could Valmar help at all with this? In reading the code with the eyes of the Runekeeper?
If Valmir is involved in this, yes.
I think he would want to be.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was doing the writing and stuff, but I think he would want to be, considering he kind of got the lens and he feels a little bit of attachment to it, or a little bit of pride over grabbing it.
It's like your magic comes from a kind of a different source. Arcana isn't your strong suit, but you can read that. Once Zep points out that this seems to be like almost like that the rings themselves also provide spells and knowledge of spells, you go, oh yes, that makes sense when this word says binding, kind of thing. So constructually, you can definitely see where you could extrapolate these rings to provide these bonuses, and looking at it, it's kind of like along the same words as like if you've read tomes about meta magic and a sorcerer's ability to bend and shape the ways of magic. It seems to be these rings doing a similar thing. And then the rings themselves, as you test and look at the different glass, the glass is like different colors as well. It's got like loads of the lenses have different hues to them, almost like there is if you begin testing some of the lens parts, there is definitely a different alchemical level of the compound that makes the glass for it to hold a school of magic. Now, to be able to replicate the ones that you don't have, it will take time to, break down, work out those elements and components, and you can do so. Whether you'll have all the components to do so or along those lines, it will be a different story. But at the same time, it's like a case of you definitely have a good understanding of how this works now. So it is almost like magical music. The lenses perform are like a scale, and it's like don't know if anyone knows music theory, but it's like the circle of fifths. And all the spell construct circle is they provide like almost like magic in its element. The spell going in is the spell that comes out, obviously, so that's the input, and then the code, shall we say, on the rings provides the further amplification and the warping of the spell through this circle of magic, so to speak.
So every time a spell is cast through it and it goes through the different color lenses, the different schools.
Yes.
Does that manipulate that one spell? So say a firebolt was cast through it, would that only be affected by evocation, or would all of them still have an effect?
All of them have an effect, because from what you're seeing is from the code, it requires the full circle to be complete to fully apply, but an evocation lens would definitely benefit evocation spells in the majority. And looking at it and looking at the signs that you get, evocation was the next biggest lens.
They're telling me that if we got nothing but transmutation lenses on this thing, and I cast Disintegrate through it, would there even be an Elendor afterwards?
Possibly.
She Death Stars it. She just Death Stars the
really,
planet.
I just start Death Starring the planet.
It seems like the lens cooperating with the spell's type has the biggest effect on it, but it requires all of them to be at its most potent. Because the other schools of magic aid in the meta code to add things like the range bonuses, the power amplification, the distribution of the energy so that it doesn't bust through, the effect that it doesn't throw back against the wielder. It's essentially like closing down the probable outcomes and removing any side effects. Makes the magic less wild, so to speak. Think of it like an arcane relay.
Yeah. I think that's all Zep's working on.
Okay. Balmer's helping. Okay. Then, unless there's some extra planning that you guys want to do, we are 12 minutes from the end today. Do we feel we want to leave it early so you guys can discuss your plan in the days to come for the next episode?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, all we have left to do tonight is to thank the people who've been playing. I've, of course, been joined by the wonderful DM Opal, Commissar Roach, Lord Lambert, Ghibli Jam, DM Lake, Mordred Viking, Kinda Otter, and I've been Midgeman. You've been watching the Component Cast play the Elendor Chronicles. Join us tomorrow for another episode as Yhander, and remember to definitely check us out on Spotify, and if you could give us a bit of a rating or leave us a review on another podcast app if you find us there, then please do so. But we will see you next time. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Really?